Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be covering the Pokemon North American International Championships, known as the NAIC, from 2026. We're looking at yesterday's view, and as you can see, this is what I'm bringing up now. Come on. Scene 1. There we go. Yeah, so we're just going to be watching it and commenting on how the progression goes. I've kind of gone through the first 45 minutes because generally the first bit is just kind of a promo. They've got lots of dancing and things like that. But yeah, it's describing some of what's happened so far as of last season. This is looking a little bit into Pokemon Unites, but we're going to be looking at the video games consoles and that championships. They also have last year's champion for the Pokemon Go, and that's whether they're competing again this year. And we have the this is the Pokemon TCG winner from last year, and this is from the Masters Division. And this is Federico Camprosi, who is the champion from last year. He was able to beat his teammate and someone he knows closely. So yes, this is just kind of going over our highlights of last year. And they're just welcoming you to the event.
As you can see, the North America International Championships have been a place of legacy.
So here they've got the two presenters. This is Rosemary Kelly, who's speaking now, and they've got Len Duell.
Rosemary Kelly, and I'm joined by Len Duell. And Len, I'm so excited because we get another first here at NAIC.
The first IC on Pokemon Champions.
Oh, so this is the first international championships when they're using the Pokemon Champions game. So this is the one that's going to be the main competitive battler system that everyone's going to have to adopt.
Because we get a chance to see the competition take a global stage.
Yeah, we're able to see how competition features kind of more global presence about it.
And that's why we are so pumped to see over 1,000 trainers.
There are apparently over 1,000 trainers that they're going to be having to cover. But obviously they're not all going to be kind of shown on screen. They'll be having matches going on multiple areas, so you'll get key matches that'll be focused. Yeah, and they're showing here, this is the current prize winnings. So for the Masters, which you can't see technically behind my screen, it's 15,000 for first, 10,000 for second, 7,000 third to fourth. 5th to 8th is 5,000, 9th to 16th is 3,000, 17th to 32. And then, yeah, here's the points breakdowns that you get depending on for the World Championship Invitationals. So these are the scores. Obviously, depending on population and championship level, will determine the point scores. So, for example, US and Canada and Europe, you get these maximum points. However, within the other territories, there are fewer points, and these will give you the full breakdown of the points accessible to you, and depending on where you rank within the contest. So if you're first, that's 500 points, and that's brilliant because they'll get you into the World Championship Invitationals a lot easier, whereas obviously the lower you place, the more difficult it will be. Oh, okay. So if you make a top 4, you get a direct invite into the Pokemon Championships. I believe the smaller point scores are for those who basically compete outside of those top 64 rankings.
We have a ton of amazing competitors here though this weekend, and you only get a chance to highlight a couple of those.
So yeah, they're going to be just highlighting a few. We have here Zachary Weed, Wolf Glick, and Justin Tang. these are the ones to watch for New Orleans.
Always a threat to take home a tournament like this. Of course, won an IC fairly recently, European International Championship in 2025, and then took second place in the Indianapolis.
Yeah, he took second place in the Indianapolis last week, I believe. So he's achieved second twice, and that's for Zachary Weed.
Trying to pull it together all the way to the top. Justin, another player trying to pull it together for this season. Already has 2 semi-finals appearances.
And Justin already has 2 semi-finals to his name.
Now trying to carry that into Pokemon Champions as well.
And he's trying to bring that into the Pokemon Champions. These are just 3 of the competitors kind of named at the moment, but there are a load of them you can see on the screen, and the current positions and rankings and where they've kind of placed, where they've gone up, where they've gone down. So here, according to this, kind of your top one is Justin Tang. Wolf Glick is apparently 13th at the moment, but I think as it has been, he has stepped away from Pokemon a little bit because of his own personal situation and fan interactions that he didn't like. But now we've also got the EU ones to watch. So you've got Marco Silva, who's Italian. You've got Federico Cavaresi, who's Italian, and you've got Victor Medina, who's from Spain. So Marco won the last competition that was in the EU, which was based in Turin. And he's won back-to-back national championships.
And then we've got Victor Medina. Unfortunately, feels like he's always been the runner-up, but never the winner. He's been able to make it to the second place 4 regionals.
So he's managed second place in 4 regionals.
International championship last year, LAIC, got so close to being able to make it to the finals. Got second in 2 regionals, actually just this season, if you think about that. Maybe this one could be the one for him.
They're hoping that this might be his season, this might be the time that he actually does well. But you never know who's going to win in these tournaments. That's what's interesting about it. They're looking at how consistent these players are being. And yeah, just about the results, how well they're doing.
It's going to be a similar story to what we saw at the North American Championship point leaderboard, where these are the competitors, they've already locked in their spots for the World Championship.
Okay, so now we've got the points total so far. All of these players are guaranteed the opportunity to play because of the point scores.
Now let's turn our attention to Latin America.
So yeah, now they're looking at Latin America. So we have the Juan Salerno, who's from Argentina. You have Gabriel Agati from Brazil. And you've got Sebastian Rodriguez, I believe that's Peru.
Last year in New Orleans, and then he's coming off a semi-finals appearance at the regional just last month. The second to last regional in Scarlet Violet, so hasn't had that finish in Pokemon Champions yet.
Okay, so they're talking about apparently one of them has done quite well in Scarlet Violet.
Championships, and even this season alone is got second at LAIC. So another competitor
And getting second in LAIC. So you know, being an international championship is very good pedigree for him.
Back at a top 8 finish at the Merida Regional Championships this season, and he's improving more in New Orleans.
I think Peru as a region has just been so standout this season for the Latin American.
They're talking about how Peru as a country has been very much a standout within the Latin American scene for competitive Pokemon play.
That is going to be the question that hopefully we will see answered later this weekend.
Yeah, certainly some big threats out of Peru, out of Latin America in general. It's fun to watch how it's
And yeah, so here's the leaderboard as they stand so far.
Juan Salerno, over 2,000 points, is also the global championship point leader, and so that's another reason why.
Oh, that's interesting. So they're saying that Juan Salerno is the global points champion leader so far.
Get up over that number so impressive.
We're also going to look at, of course, the Oceania and the APAC.
And now they're going to the Oceania APAC. So this is kind of like the Asian South Pacific. That includes Yorv Reuven, who's from Australia, Henry Rich, also Australian, and Wonjae Kim, who is from Korea.
Also a player to watch, took home a special championship in Auckland this season, and also got top 16 finish at the Latin American International Championship.
So he made top 16.
Some of our competitors from the East Pacific region come all the way here to compete for a direct invite. Wonjae Kim is the second place competitor at the Korean Nationals in 2020.
So he had the Korean player had second place within the Korean Nationals.
Here, this is to make that top four and direct invite happen.
Yeah, this is the last chance to make it happen. Of course, the Korean region doesn't use championship points, so you can't qualify over the course of the season. It's make it or break it in that one tournament, but this is a second chance here at the North American National.
Okay, so with their tournaments it's a bit different. You basically have to win, otherwise you don't really get the championship points.
Nationals, that just
And now we've got players to watch from Japan. So you've got Sohei Kimura, Ko Tsukide, and Shoma Hanami.
they truly have become breakout stars in the Japanese region, and all three of which are actually qualified for Worlds. There's
All three have currently qualified so far for Worlds,
For the thrill of competition and for the
but they're looking for the thrill competition and to see if they can, unlock any other additional prizing.
Japanese National Championship just last weekend is immediately coming off of that in Pokemon Champions and trying to get more this weekend. And of course, got top 8 at Worlds last year as well. So really a player.
Yeah, so they're looking at top 8 at Worlds.
He's all from the seniors division and just really dominating some of the circuit. Shohei Kimura, also a player that I feel like after winning the World Championship in 2023 on home turf.
Okay, so he won the World Championships, Sohei Kimura, in 2023, but that was based in Japan, so it was the home field advantage.
That was always just up at the top of the finish. Another player, no stranger to being at the top. Shoma, a former world champion at the 2015 World Championships. Of course,
Okay, Shoma got a World Championships in 2015, but then again, that was 11 years ago. It has been quite some time.
intervening decades since, and will be a huge threat this weekend.
This is just, again, a handful of competitors to keep your eyes on. There's going to be even more.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, that there's quite a few competitors playing. So actually, just keep in mind that even though these are kind of highlights, there could be some upsets in here, some shock victories from some of the opponents. Even those that aren't predicted to win or necessarily be that successful. They're talking about broadcast rewards through Twitch drops. So you can get a special Blastoise in a Cherish Ball.
Your roster of Pokemon.
This can be added to your roster of Pokemon. This is from Pokemon Champions. I suppose you'll be able to access it. You have to watch the NAIC for 60 minutes to earn it, so you do have to be quite, aware. But I like the design on that. I like the fact that they're actually introducing pricing specifically for Pokemon Champions, given this is the new competitive platform. There are additional rewards that are going on throughout the event, depending on what you're watching. Obviously, you can't watch it all. You have Pokemon Champions, and you also have one which is based for Go, Unite, and also the TCG.
Well, and you've got some cool cosmetics there with the deck box, deck sleeves, as well as that jacket.
And then, yeah, most of these you'll have to you earn by watching either between 30 to 60 minutes on Twitch TV. The lowest pricing is actually watching for 20 minutes on Twitch for Pokemon Unite, where you can get a Platinum Blastoise boost emblem.
A little bit ago, and then Pokemon Unite, you've got the 2026 logo sticker as well as that Platinum Blastoise emblem, just to show off your love of Blastoise a little bit more. But how do you actually get these? Well, you got to make sure that you're all connected. Visit rewards.com.
So yeah, in order to access these, you have to visit rewards Pokemon.com, you need to log in to your Pokemon Trainer Central account, link to your Twitch account, and you need to watch your desired stream for a period of time to earn these rewards.
And then you can earn all of those great rewards in whatever games that you are competing in.
You can see all the channels here listed.
And yeah, you've got all the channels that have been listed with the Twitch. So you've got Pokemon, which will be just a VGC. You'll have the Pokemon TCG, so that's a trading card game. And vidGO and Unite, so that's self-explanatory.
Also, following along with us on our social media platforms, please use the hashtag Pokemon NAIC.
And if you're following on with the social media coverage, then you have access to that by going through X.
What Pokemon do you want to see? Who do you think is going to win?
Who do you think is going to win?
What obscure mega are you hoping to
And what obscure Mega Evolution Pokemon do you think is actually going to make a difference?
What do you think might be able to win?
what might be able to win or what might show up? What obscure mega might be able to win?
Okay. Oh, well, you pick one, and I'll pick
One. Okay, well I think Frostlass will win. It may not be that
We talked about
far. I feel like it's
Mega Frostlass being one of the standout Pokemon.
not so obscure, but I think it's definitely a threat this season.
I want to see a Mega Abominable.
Oh, that
And as for the lady, she's talking about a Mega Crabominable
So, I mean, Mega Abominable, Mega Blastoise, both operate
or a Mega Blastoise as potential winners.
a little too much there, but I've got Trick Room on the here.
a lot of trick area. Okay, the camera could work as well. Definitely put out one.
Or how about Mega Starmie?
Okay, now you're getting.
They're looking at potentially Mega Starmie.
A little too lost in the sauce, maybe, but I just feel like there's some Mega Pokemon that we haven't gotten a chance to really see live up to their potential. And I think Mega Starmie, Mega Scissor, maybe a little more.
Mega Scissor.
Couple of those Mega Evolutions that
Some more obscure Mega Evolution Pokemon
national championship.
that might actually make it a bit of an upset.
Limited Pokédex, limited item pool.
And they're discussing about the limited
I see on
pool.
the last in this format, players have nothing to hold back for in this format for the World Championships. So you see all the tricks come out.
So yeah, they're describing how this could be. There's quite a lot of difference between each of the matches.
Maybe some Halucha no guard shenanigans.
Okay. I would take that. Yes,
It'd be pretty fun.
it would be fun. We would get to see a lot of fun figure animations.
Oh,
And yeah, they're describing about how there could be some very fun fissure animations.
the action, some Mega Crabominable action, or hopefully some Mega Halucha action.
And hopefully some Mega Halucha.
Honestly, though, some of the new Mega Evolutions that have come out from Pokemon Legends VA, those have really been the stars.
Yeah, so they're looking at Pokemon from
Of course, the number one big threat that we have entering into this tournament. Charizard, why has been around for a while? We already know that guy's good, but Mega Floette is truly the
Mega Floette.
An early sneak peek we got of the usage, so that's actually the most used Mega this weekend.
And apparently that is the most used Mega Evolution Pokemon for this weekend.
Floette Eternal Form.
Now I'm thinking about the other Mega Evolutions that we got. Because that's why I'm like, oh, Starmie would be really cool, Crabominable would be really cool. Because those are all entering into the fold from Pokemon Legends VA. But what else do I feel like might have some promise? Well, we saw Mega Clefable actually at the Japan.
Mega Clefable they're potentially looking at as another option.
Support, do a little bit of damage on its own. We saw some Mega Dragonite.
Mega Dragonite is another example of a Pokemon that they're hoping that will actually see anything. Mega Drampa.
I haven't seen that one played very much.
That hasn't been played too often.
Well, I saw a little bit of it if you watched some of the Asian Nationals.
And it was in the Asian Nationals.
At least one Mega Dragonite.
Okay, well, what was it doing?
And at least one Mega Charizard.
I don't know, but it was on the team. I'm just saying, maybe Mega Grandpa is out there for us, but that's going to do it for us for now. Please watch this video so you are fully up to date and in the know about how NAIC is going to work this year.
Okay, so now they're hopefully going to go into some of the gameplay.
The 2026 Pokemon North American International Championships.
Okay, so players are playing for potentially over $500,000 for the Pokemon VGC NAIC Champion title using the Pokemon Champions game. There are going to be 3 days that this is going to happen over, and this through Swiss rounds. There's an open team sheet format, so you and your opponent can see each other's Pokemon, but obviously you're not going to know the strategies that they're going. The top 8 players and up to 8 players tied with 8th place will advance as they progress throughout the rounds. And then you go into the single elimination brackets, with the final 2 trainers competing on the Sunday. And then you'll see who is going to claim the trophy. And now they're going to get the tournament ready, good to go. So now we've got the round 1 of this is Emilio Forbes for the United States versus Marco Silva for Italy. So in this, Emilio Forbes is using Charizard, Floette, Basculegion, Garchomp, the evolution of Bishop, and Whimsicott. And Marco Silva is using a Charizard, an Aerodactyl, a Feraligatr, a Garchomp, an Incineroar, and a Sylveon. So it's interesting to see these 2 players are using. There's a couple of Pokemon that are similar. I mean, they both are running a Garchomp and a Charizard, but in terms of the other Pokemon, they are different. So we are going to see some difference in gameplay here. So yeah, from this, Emilio Forbes has his Charizard that has a Heat Wave, a Weather Ball, a Solar Beam, and a Protect. The Floette has the Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Light and Ruin, and Protect, so it's 3 Fairy-type moves. The Basculegion has a Lost Respects, which are Ghost type, Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, both Water types, and Protect, a normal type. The Garchomp has a Dragon Claw, which is a Dragon move, Earthquake, ground move, Rock Throw as a rock move, and Protect as a normal move. The King Gambit has the Katal Cleave, which is a dark move, Iron Head, Steel, Low Kick, Fighting, and Dark as Sucker Punch. And the Whimsicott has a Moonblast, which is Fairy, the Tailwind, which is Flying, and Encore and Protect, which are normal type moves. And it's covering a range of different typings here. We've got Fire / Flying, we've got a Fairy type, we've got a Water / Ghost, we've got a Dragon / Ground, a Dark / Steel, and a Grass and Fairy type. So that's quite a combination that you're going to cover. And it's a nice balance to the team. Most of these, I would say, are physical attackers outside of... Well, half of them are physical attackers and the half he's running a mixed set. So all of these Pokemon are potentially threats. But I know that having faced Basculegion quite a few times, it's quite brutal to face. And now, as for Marco Silva, he is running a Charizard with Heat Wave, Fire type move, Solar Beam, which is a Grass type move, Weather Ball, and Protect, which are both normal type moves. The Aerodactyl is running a Rock Slide, which is a rock move, Protect, which is normal move, Tailwind, which is flying move, and Wide Guard, which is a rock type move, but that's just general coverage moves. Feraligatr has the Psychic, a psychic move, Helping Hand, a normal move, a Trick Room, which is a slow setup for, which is Psychic, and Protect, a normal move. The Garchomp has the Earthquake, and a ground type move, Dragon Claw, and Dragon type move, Protect, a normal type move, and Stomping Tantrum, which is a ground type move. The Incineroar has the Flare Blitz, which is a fire type move, Darkest Lariat, a dark type move, Fake Out, a normal type move, and Parting Shot, a dark type move. And for the Sylveon, it's running Hyper Voice, Quick Attack, and Yawn as normal type moves, and a Detect as a fighting type move. typing wise, he's got a fire slash flying, a rocked slash flying, a normal slash psychic, a dragon slash ground. And yeah, so we are actually seeing quite the variety, and now I think they're preparing for Swiss round 1. This is the very first round, so we'll get straight into it. So initially Marco Silva is running the Charizard and the Aerodactyl, and Emilio is running the Flores and the Whimsicott. So they have a total of 21 minutes 21 and a half minutes for them to be able to compete. So this does give you a bit of an understanding of roughly the times that they're running through. They do have to make the decisions quite quickly. So there is real fear that the Rock Slide might take down both the Whimsicott and the Charizard at the same time. It's a 4 times advantage against the Charizard. It's weak. Oh, okay, he's changing out for the Garchomp for his Florges. And the Charizard Y is going into the Mega form. So he's gone straight into Mega Evolution. He's trying to hit hard. So he's turned the Sunlight harsh, so we've got the sun in effect for weather. And the Whimsicott has gone straight out, and now for Protect, Aerodactyl's gone straight into a Tailwind to speed up. And the Charizard is using the Heat Wave. That is going to only impact the Garchomp, which has done about 1/3 of the damage. The Garchomp isn't able to do anything this turn because it just switched out, swapping in from the Florges. And now, yeah, they're making their next. So that's the first move. So far, there's only been the Garchomp that's taken any damage. Okay, so now the Charizard's been swapped out, and it's been replaced by the Sylveon. This is by Marco. Whimsicott by Emilio is using Tailwind. The Aerodactyl is using a Rock Slide, which has done about 40% damage to the Whimsicott and has left the Garchomp at half health. I think it flinched the Garchomp. That's why it didn't move in the turn. So we're yet to see it do anything. Garchomp so far has been quite dismal. It's not been able to do anything. It's just either been swapped out and then flinched as it came back. He's now swapping out the Whimsicott for the King Gambit. And the Aerodactyl is going for Protect. The Garchomp's going for Protect. And the Sylveon is using Hyper Voice. With the Pixelate ability, it changes to a Fairy type move. And so impacting. Well, it's nearly halfway for the King Gambit. It's taken quite a chunk of damage. You're nearly 50%. Keep in mind that the sun's already still in effect, so I don't think anything's able to do anything. The Aerodactyl's gone for Wide Guard for protecting against mass types of moves like Surf. Garchomp has used Rock Slide, but that's been protected against. The Hyper Voice takes down the Garchomp and leaves King Gambit with 21 points. That's about 10% of its health left. Iron Head is being used by King Gambit to almost take up the Sylveon. It's left with 7 HP. Oh, the Tailwind has petered out on Marco's side. It's been 3 turns. He replaces the defeated Garchomp for the Floette. Right, so we've got 15 minutes left to go on the clock. but each trainer has about 5.5 minutes to make their decision. Okay, so King Gambit is being swapped out, and Whimsicott's going to be replaced on Emilio's side. Floette is actually using the Mega Ring to go into its Mega Evolved form.
Really something that you can do that is valuable if the Pokemon are going to be both protecting. So we do see the Mega
Floette is radiating. Sylveon is using Quick Attack. It doesn't do that much damage, maybe about 10%. The Dazzling Gleam has been used and it defeats the Sylveon, and the Aerodactyl is down to about a quarter of its health. The Tailwind's been set up again by the Aerodactyl, and Emilio's Whimsicott's Tailwind has just petered out, so it's stopped using its effect. Okay, and so now Marco brings out his Mega Charizard Y, and the Sun is then reset up through the Drought ability.
So while you give up Sylveon in this process, you successfully get yourself a Tailwind and don't end up in a back-footed position. Now Charizard comes in an excellent position here. It's #1 enemy.
So now the Floette is using Protect.
The damage is coming.
The Whimsicott is using Tailwind to re-establish the speed advantage. Aerodactyl is using Rock Slide. That's been protected from the Floette. But is that's going to be enough to take out the Whimsicott? And now a Weather Ball's been used, but the Floette is protected, so they can't do anything. Now King Gambit's been returned to the field. It only has 21 points, so I don't even know what is that going to do, unless he's got any priority moves. If he's got a Sucker Punch in there, he could do something, but otherwise, I feel this is King Gambit's time to go. The King Gambit, yes, King Gambit's got Sucker Punch. Oh, Charizard's down to about half health. Oh, the Rock Slide has kept the King Gambit at 3 points, 3 HP. Floette is down, but it's using Light of Ruin. And it's nearly took out the Charizard. He's got 4 points left, but it's taken recoil damage. The Heat Wave is going to take out both of the Floette and the King Gambit at the same time. Mutual destruction. So the first game win goes to Marco Silva, representing Italy. So this is game 1 winner. I believe Emilio swapped out too many of his Pokemon, so there wasn't really a chance for him to do much with it. And yeah, so they're just replaying some of the footage, so these are key moments. This is the point where the Garchomp gets beaten out by the Hyper Voice attack. The King Gambit uses an Iron Head, which almost takes out the Sylveon in one hit. The Dazzling Gleam takes out the Sylveon and does significant damage to the Aerodactyl. And the Rock Slide takes out the Whimsicott. With the Light of Ruin almost taking out the Charizard, it was left with 4 health, but taking recoil damage as a cost. The heat that meant that Floette was down to such a level that the Heat Wave was sufficient to knock out both Pokemon. So we've started with a game 1 win for Marco Silva. Now I wonder how they're going to strategize for game 2. So I believe they've now looking at set. Oh yeah, they've just had their setup, and Marco Silva's actually starting out with a different set of Pokemon. He has with his Incineroar and the Ferragireg, and the Emilio is using Whimsicott and Basculegion. The Intimidate has been used against the opponent, so it reduces their attack stat by 1 each. And now, yeah, okay, so the Whimsicott's been traded back. He's brought back the King Gambit for round 2. Okay, so Marco's also switched out from his Incineroar to Sylveon. Wave Crash is being used by the Basque Legion. It's done about 2/3 the damage to the Sylveon. Trick Room has been set up so the slowest Pokemon are then actually becoming the fastest. We don't know where the speed relationship is at the moment. King Gambit is famously quite slow. Turn 1 King Gambit, I mean that's what they had in game 1, so we're seeing. Okay, so Ferajarav is using Psychic on the Basque Legion. It's done barely any damage. The Sylveon using Hyper Voice has taken out the Basque Legion and has left the King Gambit in just over half health. King Gambit uses the Iron Head and that's going to take out the Sylveon, so each player has lost one of their Pokemon. And now they're having to decide what Pokemon they're actually going to swap out for. So he's brought back his Incineroar, and the Floette has been brought out, and this was another Pokemon that was used by Emilio in the game 1. Oh, the King Gambit, because it's got Defiant, has actually got a boost in attack. So I think the King Gambit's going to be at risk of being targeted, because you don't really want to be giving an offensive Pokemon any real reason to stay about. You don't want to give your opponent that advantage to keep something like that dangerous out on the field. Okay, so now King Gambit's been switched out, and it's been traded back for the Whimsicott. The Floette is using the Mega Ring, so it's going back to the Mega Floette. And it's using its Fairy Aura. Okay, so Incineroar uses Flare Blitz, and that nearly takes out the Whimsicott. I believe it does have... it has the Focus Sash, so it will be left with 1 HP. The Incineroar didn't take that much damage in comparison to what it dished out. The Psychic's used in the Floette, but that does nearly 1/3 of the damage. Moonblast is used against the Incineroar. It's left with about 10%. And so that's a lot of damage it's been able to sustain on the Pokemon. So currently the Whimsicott's extremely weak and the Incineroar's weak. I wonder whether those Pokemon are going to get targeted, or whether the healthier Pokemon are going to be the ones that are being subjected. Okay, so they've now swapped out for the Floette. The Incineroar is using a Flare Blitz, but that's on the protected Floette. Ferajarav is using the Psychic, but against the King Gambit, because it's a Dark-type Pokemon, it's no longer effective. It's immune to Psychic-type moves. Interesting prioritization. Like, you might not expect that that's the key thing if you give Charizard in the back. So, for Emilio's shoes, you're trying to figure out what that fourth Pokemon is. You're trying to use signals based on the targeting to understand that it could be, though, that it was just a vulnerable thing. So, yeah, they're working out what they're going to go into next. At the moment, Trick Room has been up for a turn. King Gambit's been swapped out again for a Whimsicott. But that Whimsicott is barely around. The Ferajarav uses a Protect. Incineroar is using Flare Blitz. That's going to take out the Whimsicott, but it did have 1 HP. So it was pretty much just used as a throwaway Pokemon. And the Floette is using Moonblast, but that's against the Ferajarav, which has used Protect. The dimensions have been twisted back to normal. So actually, that was the last turn of Trick Room.
Dangerous, not any targeting into the Incineroar on the other side. Maybe Dazzling Gleam plus Kowtow keeps up the third round. If you watch him out for that. But Incineroar are really difficult, and a really difficult spot now. Like, we're going to have to be in the Amphoet without Trick Room up. It's such low health that it's just kind of waiting to be KO'd by Dazzling Gleam. Really crucial now at this point what that last Pokemon is for Marco. If it's Charizard, it probably comes in and...
They don't know what the last Pokemon Marco is going to be using at the moment because he's not had to switch into that Pokemon. But okay, so now the Incineroar is being switched out, and it is going to be the Charizard. Dazzling Gleam is used, and it doesn't really do too much. It does. It doesn't do enough. Oh, the Kowtow Cleave that takes out the Charizard. Just in one shot. And the Fragiroth is used the Trick Room. That is a lot of damage. This is looking more favourably for Emilio. He's now got his Incineroar back, but it only with Defiant that has actually boosted the King Gambit.
Into Charizard, but now things are really difficult for Marco. Because yes, you have Trick Room up, both of your Pokemon are going to move first. But Incineroar is such low health, can probably go down to Sucker Punch.
The Incineroar is now going into a Flare Blitz, but the Occa Barrier has been used by the King Gambit, but it's not enough. King Gambit is down.
But this trades back Incineroar. We're going to have to realistically win a damage trade back and forth.
So now the Incineroar is down as well, so it's a mutual destruction by that effect. It was recall damage. Fragiroth is using Psychic. It does only 40 damage or so. So he's still down to about 30-something% of health. And the Moonblast has left Fragiroth with... Yeah, it does have the Citrus Berry, so it did heal itself. But it's down to about a quarter of its health. Floette's using Protect just for the next turn. Psychic is going to, not do anything. So it's really tight. Psychic's been used by the Fragiroth again. It's not enough. It's done. It's left him with 18 hit points. Oh yeah, that was enough with the Moonblast. It took out the Fragiroth. And game 2 goes to Emilio. Barely. But, a win is a win. That Floette actually came in clutch. It did well for him. That was... that Flare Blitz taking out the Whimsicott was one of the key strategic points. The Kowtow Cleave was also, it just took out straight away the Charizard. It had no chance of surviving that. Incineroar using the Flare Blitz also massively took out the King Gambit, but it actually, because it was on such low health, it also took itself out. And lastly, we have the Moonblast, which was more than enough damage to take out the Fragiroth. So we're now on a 1-all tie. And now they're making their decisions on what's going to happen in the next round.
One turn during that Trick Room with the target had been different, then it all works out. And this game is no different. If that had been Flare Blitz and Psychic as a double up into Whimsicott, then you probably take this home for Marco. So yeah, definitely not enough evidence to say the Trick Room mode is...
Okay, so now they're into game 3. Okay, so Marco is starting off with his Sylveon Aerodactyl. Emilio is going into his Basculegion and Whimsicott.
Basculegion and Whimsicott a lot more damage risk here. You can keep Tailwind and Hyper Voice to get damage to the Basket Legion, but you're not threatening a KO.
Okay, so we'll see how they're facing at the moment. Yeah, bear in mind that they're both making these decisions, and since it's a 1-all, when they get into this, this is like the winner takes it all for the next round. Okay, so the Whimsicott is going to start off with the Tailwind, and the Basket Legion is using a Wave Crash. That was used straight on the Sylveon, and it just straight away, it's a one-hit KO, it just takes out the Sylveon. Basket Legion takes some recall damage, but that's not that much. Basket Legion avoids the Rock Slide, and Whimsicott takes it, but that's about 50 points of damage, 54. That is about a third, just over a third of the damage to the Whimsicott. That's not a big enough trade-off for effectively losing one Pokemon. So the next Pokemon he's brought out, oh, this is the first time I think he's brought out his Garchomp. They're talking about generally lots of players prefer to run a faster Garchomp than a bulkier version. So the Basket Legion is going to start off with a Aqua Jet. The Aerodactyl has left with 1 HP, and that's thanks to its Focus Sash. The Whimsicott is using Moonblast, and that's also against the Aerodactyl, so we're saying goodbye to Aerodactyl. It didn't last too long. I think this is the second turn and third round. Garchomp is using an Earthquake on both Pokemon. Basket Legion has got about a quarter of health, and I would say the Whimsicott is about a seventh of its health. And he's been forced to bring out his Charizard, which I think is his last Pokemon. So the idea is, what can he do? Is he going to be able to beat over the opponent's Pokemon first? I'm talking from Marco, because both of the Pokemon are quite weak. Or is he going to have his Pokemon dealt with almost immediately? That Aqua Jet from that Basket Legion was a lot of damage it did to the Aerodactyl, but Basket Legion is going to use Protect, and Whimsicott's using Encore, so that this will lock in the Garchomp to using Earthquake. So the Earthquake is not going to affect the Basket Legion or the Charizard. Charizard is a part of flying type, but he is going to lose the Whimsicott. Heat Wave has been used by Charizard, but it's not going to do anything given Basket Legion is currently protected. Floette's been brought out again. This is his Mega Evolution choice. And now he's using the Mega Ring to go into the Mega Floette. And using the Fairy Aura. And at the same point, Charizard is going to become Mega Charizard Y, so that will set up Drought, which is the sun. That will reduce the water damage that the Basket Legion dishes out, but he uses Protect to shield his Charizard. Moonblast is used against the Garchomp. Oh, that's going to take out the Garchomp. And yeah, that's just straight out one turn, one hit KO. Wave Crash has been used, but the Charizard has protected itself. The Tailwind has gone out of effect, so that's from Whimsicott. But you now got a couple of Pokemon against that Charizard. So long as he plays it well, that might be enough. The Floette's using Protect, and the Basculegion is also using Protect, just to kind of spot out what the opponent's using. So he's used Heat Wave, and both Pokemon are protected from that. So that they're looking at maybe if he could get a critical hit landed. This is from Marco. He could do something, but the Aqua Jet does about a third damage. Moonblast is good. Oh, it's down to about a third of its hit points now. The Heat Wave, it's gonna take out the Basculegion, and now the Floette is the only. Oh, it's a critical hit on Basculegion. That could make all the difference. The King Gambit is been brought out, so ideally, if it can use Sucker Punch, that might be the diff. Oh, okay. Marco has forfeited. He knew he was going to lose that, so just kind of just giving that to Emilio. He's now won. So yeah, Emilio Flores has won the first round. And yeah, they're just signing up the paper documents, and that's just going to the judges. So that's the game slips. And they've just closed out the game. That was a lot of damage. That was amazing. I really thought from game one that Marco was going to actually win. But as you can see, that just instant takeout of the Sylveon. That was one of the key moments. The loss of the Aerodactyl. It only had one hit point left, but that was because it survived on the Focus Sash. The Earthquake did a lot of damage to both the Basculegion and the Whimsicott, and was sufficient to actually take out the Whimsicott after a second Earthquake, even though it was forced to through Encore. The Floette, Mega Floette, was able to use a Moonblast, which just straight out took out the Garchomp. And the Wave Crash, of course, was enough to then take out the Mega Charizard. Why? So yeah, it has 3 Fairy type moves. It was pretty much locked into just using them. So if Marco had been running more of a Steel type or a Fairy type core of Pokemon, maybe he would have had that protection. But against the Basculegion, there was not much that could be done. Okay, so now they're just going into 2 of the other narrators. So we've got Scott Glaser and Lee Prevost.
So coming into this one in real good form, and you think he has changed up the 6 that he's brought from Turin. Really interesting 6 as well, and got off to a great start in that match as well.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking he was going to run away with this one.
Yeah, so that was so well done. Just Emilio just completely coming out of nowhere, you know, to win 2 back-to-back. I don't think he was considered the favourite. Marco was one of the ones that had been highlighted as representative for Italy and actually within Europe, whereas Emilio I don't think was a favourite within the US.
Yeah, definitely that. I do love the Farigiraf. I think it's been...
The Farigiraf was used as a Trick Room setter, so it was to use for his slower Pokemon, but the emphasis on more of a setup and less of the offensive strategy, which Emilio seemed to hammer more into, had come as a bit of a disadvantage. It came as a bit of a problem. So yeah, as we were saying, that there was a lot of damage that was really dealt. The Marco's team was a lot more fragile. I think really the only ones that were more on the defensive side was the Sylveon and maybe the Farigiraf, but everything else was designed to be quite offensive. You had mostly physical attackers in Aerodactyl, Garchomp and Incineroar. The others were all either set up or for, you know, special attacking, which is fine, but it wasn't sufficient to get them past the line.
Gradually we're remembering that it's the best Pokemon in nearly every format, and looking pretty good here as well. I can jump back and look quickly at Emilio's team a little bit as well. I think this is a really interesting result. This is the sort of thing I was real spooked when I see players.
And when you look at Emilio's team, he had physical attackers in Basculegion and the Garchomp and the King Gambit. Special attackers came in the form of Charizard, the Floette, and the Whimsicott, but he also had setup which came from the Whimsicott mostly. It was for Tailwind. It did use Encore once, and that was against the Garchomp to force it to continue to use Earthquake during the final round. But yeah, as we can see, it's just been they did quite a lot of swapping in and out with their Pokemon.
The other side with that Charizard and Aerodactyl, but putting a lot of damage, kind of critically threatening that wide guard as well. It's a little different Aerodactyl. We've seen a lot of players opting to go for the Mega Aerodactyl on the 1 Mega version of Charizard instead.
Yeah, they were thinking that potentially it could have been the Mega Aerodactyl rather than the Mega Charizard, but I suppose if you're looking for a sunset type of Pokemon, then obviously you're going to go for Mega Charizard. It's interesting to also see a lot of, it was quite heavy protection based usage from Emilio. It was enough to just avoid, you know, taking too much damage and to throw the opponent off. The Tailwind was used quite effectively as well. It just kind of sped up his team.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a big part of Smash in general. The players are so quick about getting those replacement Pokemon in and realizing that they could be put in position.
But the flinch was initially quite a nice try in the first round by Marco. Just shame he really wasn't able to use the Aerodactyl that well in the third round.
Boldly just assume that you're going to predict the switch and not encore you or risk kind of being trapped and winding up in a very negative position there. So even though the Tailwind happens, it still gets up in there, and since the threatening of both these Pokemon, like, well, you're really going to try to encore my Tailwind here.
Yeah, they're looking at which of the Pokemon was going to Tailwind first. Whimsicott is obviously a typical setup for that. Aerodactyl was a little bit less for it, but it did use it at one stage. And there was a heavy use of the Mega Floette, which I feel that Emilio did use very well. But the quick attack was because it benefits from Sylveon using Pixelate to turn normal type moves into fairy type moves. It also has priority, so a little bit like Sucker Punch, it will move before anything else moves. The significant amount of damage that, as you can see, was done. Lighter Rune was used a couple of times, and it almost took out that Charizard in round 1. But the Charizard, then using the Heat Wave, was able to take out 2 Pokemon in 1, so this is pretty much how Marco actually won that first round.
I think that Marco came out on the better end of it most games where it landed, right? But then after that kind of cleanup where Silver was able to get off that high score, and started to up about it. Also, that really managed to get like 50 goals in the end, but take the lead, switching up and going down that further out.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really like about this version of the team. It's just a bit of a really effective system setup. But we'll see the same leads from the other side of the field, both the two games in the winning here, like game 2 and 3. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really neat, right? Where you just don't have this sort of option with the 4 Charizard teams where you can push it a little.
So they're now going over game 2.
Fundamentally, they play very similar. Where there's a much bigger deviation with the tripper in the field.
With the setup on Pokemon, they had completely different ones from what they originally started with in round 1. The Basculegion was very heavy use of Wave Crash as a way of doing significant damage to the opponent. However, there was the trade-off of, taking the recall damage. This is where Marco really started to focus on using Trick Room and maybe did so too much to his own detriment. Yeah, and this is where the Psychic is used. It barely did anything to the Basculegion. Hyper Voice was more significant, and that was enough to take out the Basculegion. And you would have thought at that point that was locking in Marco's second victory, but it wasn't enough because the King Gambit then came back and completely took out his Sylveon. The Incineroar was used quite a few times to reduce the stat lineup from the opponent. That was effective on the King Gambit, but well, actually it wasn't, given that the King Gambit had Defiant, but with the Mega Floette, it being a special attacker, it doesn't matter if it loses its attack stat, it's not going to rely on it at all. None of the moves were set for physical attacking. King Gambit was returned a few times. And the Mega Floette was often pretty much set up either on the first or the second turn that it was released. I don't know what Fairy Aura does, but I'm sure that probably powers up the Fairy type moves. Focus Sash was used by the Whimsicott to keep itself in the match. And the Ferrogiraph doesn't have enough special attack built in to do enough. Whereas when it came down to the mirror match of, a Fairy Pokemon versus Psychic Pokemon, the Moonblast actually did more damage. Yeah, in this case, that's where the Protect was used a little bit more by the Ferrogiraph. And obviously losing the Whimsicott wasn't ideal, given that was against an Incineroar. The Moonblast was predicted badly here, straight into a protected Pokemon. King Gambit being swapped in was quite good in some respects, that it would be useful against the Ferrogiraph, but he had to risk whether this team would work against the Incineroar.
really, I'm hoping the Charizard in relatively safely. Maybe I forgot to survive this double and it's a disaster.
Yeah, and I think that's always the risk here, because you could potentially get Marco.
The Incineroar was swapped out for the Charizard, and Dazzling Gleam was used to do mutual damage to both of the opponents. Kowtow Cleave was used really well. That was sufficient to take out the Charizard, which I don't think the opponent was expecting. I mean, it is the signature move of Kingambit. You would expect that anyone running that Pokemon would be using that move within it. And next, the Incineroar had to be brought back in because he was limited in the Pokemon that he had. The Tailwind was used just to re-establish the speed advantage. And so, yeah, that's describing that's pretty much the end of game 2. Now, as we go into game 3, they presented with the Basculegion and Whimsicott on Emilio's side, and the Sylveon and Aerodactyl on Marco's side. So they were talking about how there might have been a bit of a missed opportunity. The Tailwind had been activated. Wave Crash was a smart move by the Basculegion to just straight away take out the Sylveon. It was just a one-hit KO. That meant the Sylveon in the 3rd round was completely useless. Aerodactyl didn't actually hit Basculegion, but that's the risk you run with that attack. It did some damage to the Whimsicott, but not that much, and it wasn't deemed that big of a threat. The Garchomp was brought out in this case. The trainers did take a bit of time to make their decisions. Yeah, so this is just a step-by-step kind of analysis of the rounds. I think as they're setting up for the other rounds as they go. The Basculegion was used, obviously Aqua Jet that's a priority move, so unless your opponent has a priority move which the Pokemon is actually faster than yours, a priority move will always go first. He doubled into the Aerodactyl, so just instantly remove that threat. Probably thinking that it was running some sort of type of either Focus Band or Focus Sash, to make sure that 2 hits went straight into that slot. The Earthquake did a bit of damage and was a bit of a threat, but as you can see what's going to happen here, Whimsicott uses the Encore, so that forces that continual use of Earthquake. And the Basculegion using Protect to just avoid any damage. Whimsicott did its job before, it fainted from the Earthquake used by the Garchomp. Again, the Heat Wave was protected by the Basculegion. The threat then gets sent to the field.
But I think Marco we saw here struggled to get the setup to even get that Incineroar into position, and you're always going to be taking that recoil damage. We saw him get stupid spend the Incineroar at the end where he wasn't able to have the longevity to close the matchup like Marco probably would have liked. Yeah, I mean, incredible.
Right, so yeah, it's just racing with the Fairy Aura.
Two of the best players in the world, two recent regional champions. I hope you enjoyed that match, this breakdown, and we're going to have a bunch of more great matches.
So yeah, that was a nice breakdown of the match as it was. And now, yeah, they've hopefully going to be setting up for the next round. And so they're having just this kind of little drumming session there. They're interviewing one of the top players. So this is Justin Tang. He is representing for I think America. But yeah, he's obviously of Asian descent of some kind. So the next round is coming up in the next 8.5 minutes.
In an official capacity, are you worried that you missed out on some of that live action from Indy, or do you think you're going to be fine?
So he missed out on the Indianapolis from the most recent tournament last week. I think he did that deliberately so that he could prepare for this particular match.
But we'll see. I was looking at my select as an image because, I only play in Strong Violet, only Snare. First I go in Mega, so we'll see what happens.
So yeah, he was. I think he started off in Scarlet and Violet, so he's not too familiar with the Mega Evolutions that were introduced in Pokemon X and Y. And since this is the emphasis on Pokemon Champions at the moment, Mega Evolutions, I don't think they have any of the other specialties. They don't have the Z moves, they don't have the Dynamax or Gigantamax or the Terrestrialization. Any of those other gimmicks are just kept out.
I think a lot of the Japanese players call it Big Six, new Big Six, 5 out of top 8 is definitely something,
So yeah, it was talking about hopefully getting in the top 5, aiming for this championship this year.
I don't think anything really counters the top Charizard teams right now because it's just so consistent. It's shown it throughout the format right now, both top.
So yeah, he's talking about how potentially Charizard is one of the top Pokemon to choose at the moment. He was talking about how American players play against Japanese players. So he likes to look at the general top results of certain championships and then make determinations based on what team he wants to go for. So he's talking about how, a lot of people are using Mega Frostlass, but then again, it is still a Frostlass. It is still quite susceptible to certain types of Pokemon, certain types of attacks, and it's not so defensive. It's more of a special attacker. So he was asking about the championship points system, because currently he has enough points to make it to Worlds anyway without actually having to compete. But he said there's always a level of pressure that he faces, but he doesn't put too much pressure because he's already made it to the required slots. But he wants to kind of see how it happens throughout the day. Yeah, and so that was actually quite a nice little interview. This is just looking back to a couple of previous regionals and I think the winners combination teams. Yeah, as you can see, you've got Wolfie VGC there. So his Pokemon trainer journey. He's won 10 regional championships. He had looked to set this about 6 to 7 years ago. I was recognising that even winning one regional is actually quite difficult. And now being able to say he's actually accomplished 10 regionals and using his favourite strategies. And he's grateful for the opportunities that he's been presented with. So he's talking about the Toronto Regional Championships. He used the ability Perish Song and Shadow Tag. And his third regional championship winning with that strategy. And he's used a dedicated Perish Trap strategy. His kind of favourite Pokemon to use in the team was the Politoed. And it used Weather Ball and bringing the Porygon 2 into 5 HP. He was able to pull off the Perish Song quite consistently, but he wasn't aware that it could actually work in practice, and he was able to pressure his opponent not to switch out without having to trap the Pokemon onto the field. Yeah, this ironically was against Marco Silva, who we just saw lose against. So he began competing back in 2011 when he was a freshman in high school. There was a local tournament to him in Virginia, and he ended up winning the entire match. And that's how he kick-started his career. It's a very complicated game he was talking about, and how he likes to be challenged, both personally as an individual, so he's not looking at the, just the different environments and the actual winning, but actually the people that he's actually been able to meet throughout these tournaments. So he's talking about what is the master goal, what's the big picture moment, and he says there isn't some sort of grand motivation. He doesn't have a big master plan. He doesn't have this particular title that he's chasing. He just wants to kind of do the best he can. He enjoys competing, so as long as he enjoys competing, he will continue to do so. And he wants to still be able to learn and get better, and if that leads to additional championships, then he doesn't have any issues. He also feels a sense of satisfaction from just being able to compete. He doesn't picture any particular opponent because he's sat in front of quite a few. So he doesn't say is he going to win Worlds this year, but he's wanting to be more meaningful and intentional about it. So yeah, it should only be a few seconds left until we have the second round coming. So they're being brought back to New Orleans. This is the convention center. And wow, that's quite a packed convention center there. And yeah, they're looking at some of the most exciting players in the matches. So they've gone back to their primary narrators, so that's Rosemary and Loon.
Right, and international competition as well. Last round we had a European regional champion versus an American.
Yeah, so they were talking about how in the last round they had a European versus a North American.
Would it be another European player versus an American player?
Okay, so that is... Okay, so now they've got Theotime Mesalt versus Giovanni Shish. So a French representative versus a US representative. Europe versus United States of America.
Top 16 of that very same World Championships,
Also top 4 at an IC just in the fall, and so definitely a player.
So this is the Swiss round 2 matches as they're playing at the moment. Oh, there is a UK representative here, Taran Birdie. As a UK national, that's why I kind of picked that. But I don't know whether we'll actually get to see that match. Again, as they go through some of these rounds, they're missing over people. They're kind of focusing on one particular game. These other ones will probably be shown here and there, or at least the score results will be shown. But they're highlighting a specific match within each of the rounds. I mean, if they were to go through every single round of everything, it would be a bit too insane. And probably the content would be several days just on day one. That level of detail. So they're talking about how Theotime has managed quite a lot of successful games, but he's not won them. He's kind of been a finalist or a semi-finalist.
Right, being able to see all the different countries come together to recall one of these notable matches is an 0-1 match. Marco, after having to play against him usually in the last round, runs into Joji this round. That's a pretty difficult draw for your round 2 after you lose round 1.
So there you go. That's interesting. So Marco, who was the one who lost the previous match, he has randomised match against Joji Kaida from Australia. If he loses this match, I believe that will have him kicked out. Because even if they choose 8 from the winners and then 8 kind of runners up, but it then becomes if you lose. Okay, and here we've got like the top 12 Pokemon that have been used. So Kingambit, Basculegion, Sneasler, Incineroar, Floette, the Eternal Flower, Garchomp, Charizard, Sinister, Whimsicott, Frostlass, Farigiraf, and Aerodactyl. We did see quite a few of these: Kingambit, Basculegion, Incineroar, Floette, Garchomp, Charizard, Whimsicott, Farigiraf, and Aerodactyl within round 1. So that's actually not too surprising. And yeah, it's quite interesting. We really only missed 1, 2, 3 of these Pokemon in any combination of teams from round 1. But I'm not necessarily understanding for Kingambit. I know it's a high physical attacker. Basculegion is quite similar to that. But yeah, we'll have to see if there's kind of any outlying Pokemon. I can understand. Sinister, I think, is mostly for healing. And for setup, Frostlass, it is a heavy special attacker, especially when using its Mega Form. But then, if you think both players used a different Mega Evolution, one used the Floette and one used the Charizard, that would make sense. On this list, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of these 12 Pokemon have the opportunity to Mega Evolve, which makes sense that, you know, almost 50% of the top 12 Pokemon are going to be like your finishing Pokemon. Like the big Pokemon would be the Mega Evolve Pokemon, but we kind of have to wait and see. In terms of typing wise, there is quite a breadth of variety. I mean, you don't really have too much double up here. You've got a couple of grass Pokemon in Sinister and Whimsicott. You've got a couple of fire types in Charizard and Incineroar. Fairy is representative from Whimsicott and the Floette. Dragon is actually quite strange. I thought you might have some more dragon types, but it's only the Garchomp that's been seen in action. The fighting is pretty much only coming from the Sneasler. Ice is from Frostlass. Ghost aspects come from Basculegion and Frostlass. Water is just straight out Basculegion. Steel type you've got in Kingambit. Dark type you've got in combinations with Kingambit and Incineroar. Normal type is coming for Azurath. It's also coming purely on the Psychic type. Flying is representative from both the Charizard and the Aerodactyl, and the Aerodactyl is only Rock type. And then here we have the teams that the current presenters would like to bring if they had the opportunity to play. So here, I mean, Lee was suggesting to have a Gengar and a Frostlass, so there's Ghost types in there, and that's Ice and Poison as well. You've got Caladon, so I believe that's Dragon and Steel. Incineroar, which is Fire and Dark. Politoed, which is pure water. And the Sinister, which is normal and grass. Len would bring a combination of the Tyranitar with the Mega Evolution option, as well as the Frostlass as a Mega Evolution. So the Tyranitar it's a Rock and Dark type. Frostlass is an Ice and Ghost type. You've got Corvasteel, which is Dark and Steel. You have Hydreigon, which is Dragon and Dark. Garchomp, which is Dragon and Ground. And you've got the alternative version of the Arcanine, which I believe is Rock and Fire. For Gabby Schneider, you have a Mega Delphox or a Mega Floette. And the Delphox is Fire and Psychic. Floette, I believe, is that just pure Fairy, or is it Fairy and Grass? Sometimes I get confused in those. Either way, Basculegion is Water and Ghost. You've got the Incineroar, Fire and Dark. Sinister, which is the Normal and Grass type. And the Sneasler, which is Poison and Fighting. For Sierra Dawn, you have the Mega Evolution option as the Tyranitar. That will be the Dark and Rock type. Corvasteel in Steel and Dark. Garchomp, which is Dragon and Ground. The Klefki, I think that's Steel and Fairy. The dolphin-looking one, I can't remember its name off the top of my head. I believe it's Water and Fire. And Volcarona, which is Fire and Bug, Fire and Insect type. You have, for Rosemary, who's one of the main presenters you can see here, her Mega Evolution options would either be the Charizard or the Aerodactyl. I don't know which Charizard she'd go for, whether that be the X or the Y, but that's a Fire and Flying type, and Aerodactyl is Rock and Flying. Basculegion being Water and Ghost. For Azurath is Normal and Psychic, the Garchomp being Dragon and Ground, and the Sylveon being pure Fairy type. And lastly, we have Joe Brown, whose Mega Evolution would be the Charizard. And I think that's the Mega Charizard X. That one is Fire Flying. You've got the Alolan Ninetales, which is an Ice type. You have the Kingambit, which is the Dark and Steel type. Milotic is the pure Water type. Sinister is Normal and Grass, and Caesar being Fighting and Poison. So yeah, when you look at even like there being quite a few special attackers, some have quite a lot of preferences for one or the other, and some want just a mixed team.
So both types, like offensive types, are represented, but are getting one from the Mega and one from those non-Mega Pokemon.
Well, I think for some of it, it's like the new Mega Evolutions, for example, if you're
Yeah, so a lot of the new Mega Evolution Pokemon get a nice boost in their special attack stats as they've been brought over. Now, because they didn't have abilities in Pokemon Legends Arceus, when they're brought over, that's when they get their effects. When you start to see their abilities, that's why people were starting to say, oh, Raichu X and Raichu Y have this ability or that ability, because once they've been brought in for this new season for Pokemon Champions, they've now been given their allocated abilities.
But that leads also to the timing of Mega Evolution. I think that's something I'm definitely keeping my eyes on this weekend. When are our top trainers actually utilizing Mega Evolution?
So one of the questions they're using is to do with when they're actually going to use their Mega Evolutions. Are they going to actually start off with those Pokemon, or are they actually going to introduce them somewhere down the line when they feel a bit more pressure? You're trying to find the right time as and when you want to use those different abilities, because if you switch in to a Pokemon that is going to be Mega Evolving, then actually that Pokemon will start off with weaker stats if it gets hit by anything in that same turn, or you might have to wait for one of your Pokemon to be fainted before intentionally bringing another Pokemon out. They were talking about how Frostlass wasn't really seen in previous gameplay because until it started getting the Mega Evolution. It seems that they're getting ready for round 2. Everything's kind of been set up. Yeah, they've just got the judges just checking over a couple of things at the moment. And so yeah, we've got Theatime the Salt, who's got a Delphox, a Floette, an Incineroar, Kingambit, Sinister, and Sneasler. And Giovanni Shishk is using a Dragonite, a Frostlass, a Basculegion, an Incineroar, a Kingambit, and a Sneasler. From both teams, the unique Pokemon they've got is the Delphox, the Dragonite, and I'm seeing as well the Floette is the Frostlass, Basculegion, and the Sinister. Everything else they've got, the 3 of the Pokemon they've got are all kind of mirrors. But we have to wait and see as and what they're using in movesets to determine how that's going to work. But yeah, it's quite interesting to see that both players are using really 3 physical attackers as carbon copies of each other, and that their special attackers tend to be almost entirely different, just completely opposite sides of the spectrum. Typing wise, I think they're covered relatively well. With the Delphox, I mean, it has Heat Wave as a fire type move, Psyshock as a psychic move, Nasty Plot is a setup move, but it is a dark type, and Protect, normal type to protect itself. The Floette has the Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, fairy type moves. Calm Mind is a setup move which boosts special attack and special defense, and Protect is going to obviously protect itself. With Incineroar, that has the Flare Blitz, so that's an all-out fire type move which does recall damage. Throat Chop and Parting Shot, both of which are dark type moves, although Throat Chop is an actual move, whereas Parting Shot is a stat reduction move. Fake Out is to flinch your opponent on the first turn it's brought out, and it's a normal move. With the Kingambit, you've got Sucker Punch and the Carousel Cleave, which are both dark type moves. Protect, which is a protection move, and Swords Dance, which is set up for a physical attacking. It boosts the stat by 2 times. And the Sinister, it's got the Match Gacha, which will also both do damage and heal. Grass type move, the Rage Powder to focus in attacks onto itself. Yeah, I wasn't able to describe a lot, but yeah, that's quite well, quite a combination of Pokemon. With Giovanni, he's got his Dragonite, that's got a Dragon Pulse, a Dragon type move, Heat Wave, so it's a special attack setup Pokemon, a Fire type move. Tailwind is a speed boost move that was used previously, that's a Flying type move, and Protect. With the Frostlass, it's got Blizzard as an Ice type move, Shadow Ball as a Ghost type move, the Aurora Veil, I'm guessing it must have the ability to, they must have the ability to set up for the hail, well, for the snow environment, because Aurora Veil can only be used for that, and Protect. The Basculegion has Wave, Crash, and Aquajet as the water type moves. Last Respects is a Ghost type move, and Protect. So there's about 5 Pokemon here that have Protect on there. Incineroar has Flare Blitz as a Fire type move, Throat Chop as a Dark type move, Fake Out as a normal move, and Parting Shot is an effect move which happens to be Dark type. I think that's a mirror of the previous Incineroar. The King Gambit has Kowtow Cleaver, so that's a Dark type. Sucker Punch is priority based Dark type move. Swords Dance is another boosting move, similar, it's the same as the other King Gambit, and Protect. And Sneasler has Close Combat for a fighting type move, Poison Jab for poison moves, Fake Out, and Protect. So there's a couple of moves that have been copied over for 2 Pokemon, so Fake Out is for both the Incineroar and the Sneasler, and most of the other Pokemon outside of, I think, well, yeah, basically 5 of 6 Pokemon have Protect on there as one of their moveset slots.
Right. With the Mega Evolution, gives you a bunch of special attacks, and the option to go physical isn't really there anymore. You might see ordinary Dragonites out in the field.
So yeah, they talk about how, because when it goes into its Mega Evolution, it's got such a boost in its special attack, it's no worth reason to have it run as a physical attacker unless you were actually just purely going to use a standard Dragonite.
A lot of very familiar Pokemon on either side, but I'm very curious about this Mega Delphox versus the Mega Dragonite on Yoshi.
Right, I think it's a really crucial decision for both players which Mega to bring. Have this kind of support.
They're determining based on, you know, the types of Mega Evolution Pokemon they've got. Even though they do have similar Pokemon in some of their movesets, there are quite a few differences in how they've chosen to carry their teams. So now we're being presented with Swiss Round 2. Okay, so now the game's started. So Giovanni has brought out his Sneasler, and the Frostlass, and the Theatime is using a Floette and a Sneasler. So both have their Sneaslers out, and they both got a distinctive Pokemon as well. The Floette is the Mega Evolved Pokemon, and the Frostlass, I think, is also a Mega Evolved Pokemon. We'll get to see how they've kind of set everything up. Are they going to go straight into the offense, or are they going to be playing defensively? Sneaser's coming back, and he's bringing out Incineroar. So yeah, so that's Theatime actually trading out his Pokemon. Now here's the Mega Evolution. He's going straight into the Mega Frostlass. So here it almost seems like an instant. And oh yeah, that's where the snow comes through its ability. Now we've got the Mega Floette. So we've got both the Megas come out straight away. What is the Sneasler doing? The Floette's using Protect, and the Sneasler is using Fake Out. Okay, so that was a waste of a Fake Out. the Blizzard is protected from the Floette, and damage-wise, it's done about a fifth, roughly about a fifth to the Incineroar, just under. Okay, so yeah, he's actually called the moves quite well, Theatime. He's been able to trade in his Pokemon as well as protect his Mega Evolved Pokemon. But then, if he tries to use Protect again twice in succession, there is a high risk of it failing. The Incineroar is coming back, and he's trading in back for the Sneasler. So, is there a reason for it? I know the Incineroar has done... Oh, wow. The Sneasler has done a lot of damage to the Floette. It's literally down to about a third of its life. The Aurora Veil has been set up by the Frostlass, so that'll actually reduce the amount of damage from both physical and special attack moves. Floette has set up for the special attack and special defense through Calm Mind. So there's been a lot of setup there, but I'll have to wait and see, is that actually going to make a difference? Both have the Sneasler up. So I'm going to say the other two Pokemon are just setting themselves up for a match, almost for a grudge match. Whereas the other two seem to be more on the offensive ones. They want to be disrupting each other. Okay, so the Sneasler has been switched out, and that's going for the Incineroar. It happens to be a shiny Incineroar, and this will be reducing the attack stat. Yeah, okay, and he's bringing out his own Incineroar. So you've got, and then Floette is using the Protect. Incineroar, barely any damage. Again, it's just got about... Oh, it's frozen. It's been frozen. Wow. It still has about just over two-thirds of its HP. But the fact that it's been frozen is going to make it a lot more challenging.
But he can Flare Blitz to thaw out of the freeze, so that is going to be at least a nice attack into the Frostlass, right?
It's difficult. You spend a turn just Flare Blitz with Incineroar. Floette starts to look like it is on an island all by itself, already at such low health. But of course, go down to an attack.
Oh wow! So that's a lot. Floette is now using Protect, but apparently it failed, and the Blizzard has been used. Incineroar's down to almost half its HP. It's healed up with the Citrus Berry, but the Floette is down to 10%. The Frostlass is been taken down by the Incineroar, but with the Aurora Veil up, it's actually reduced the damage. Flare Blitz is enough from the opponent's Incineroar to take out the Floette. And now he brings out the Sneasler.
You're going to put all this investment into supporting around it. You really want a lot more than Floette was able to accomplish there. Ends up hitting the Calm Mind, protecting, trying a double protect, not hitting it, and just getting KO, having no impact on this game. Geo at this point is so far ahead. It doesn't necessarily have it close out yet. Incineroar still put out a lot of damage.
Okay, so Incineroar is looking to put out a lot of damage, as they say. Yeah, there was a lot of damage to the Frostlass, so there is a bit of concern. He's going to switch out for the Basculegion. Sneasler is using Dire Claw. It's not very effective on the Basculegion. And with Blizzard, that's done a lot of damage to the Sneasler. And now the Incineroar is down to about 35% of its health. 35-40%. The Frostlass has just about survived on 5 hit points.
Make it more difficult. First tries to get that KO with Photon instead. That also covers that bleeding that be coming in on that side instead. No expiring, maybe your vidIQ's mindset. Get Frostlass out, come back in later when you have more impact. Instead, doesn't manage to close out the KO on to Frostlass. And probably is going to have to take another Blizzard in the future. At least on this turn, you can expect Frostlass to like out.
Yeah, so in terms of damage, they're both in quite critical points. Now losing his Mega Floette, he now no longer has any Mega Evolution Pokemon to use. The Incineroar is being returned by Giovanni and it's been switched into the Sinister. Oh, no, that's Theotime's one. Diaclaw has been used again, and that'll be enough to take out the Frostlass. There was no point in keeping the Frostlass on 5 hit points. The Wave Crash was not effective, but actually it still did probably about 25-30% of the damage. Okay, so they're talking about how Incineroar can come back and give a free Intimidate if needs be.
Which means that Sizzler can usually get attacks off in the future, and then the rotation is still available. Once your team is down to 2 Pokemon, it's going to be much easier.
Yeah, they say once your team is down to 2 Pokemon, that's where it's going to be a bit of a problem. Incineroar's been brought out again, and that will reduce the attack points of both the Sneasler and the Sinister, but Sinister is more of a special attacker, it's more of a problem against the Sneasler. Okay, so now, yeah, we just wait on their decision for the moves. Okay, so the Sneeze is coming back, and they're trading in for the Incineroar. So that'll be reducing the attack stats on both other Pokemon. Fake Out has been used, and Last Respect has been used against the Sinister, and that's super effective. Sinister has gone down. Now Theotime is down to just 2 Pokemon, which is the Sneasler. Oh, okay, he's forfeited the match. So Giovanni's actually won the first round. I believe when it came down to 2 Pokemon, he was just thought it's too much. There's no way he was actually going to win that, so he just decided to concede. So at this point, you know, it was a real problem when his Incineroar became frozen through the Blizzard attack, the secondary effect of Blizzard from the Mega Frostlass. It kept using Blizzard against his Pokemon, and that was a lot of pressure. He was also able to set up with the Frostlass using the Aurora Veil. And the Fake Out was used correctly as well to disrupt the opponent from being able to move in the turn. The Sinister coming out was supposed to really get rid of the Basculegion, but instead, because of its weakness, it was taken down almost immediately, immediately by the Basculegion. So now we're heading into round 2. We'll wonder how and where this is going to plan out. They say it's quite difficult to kind of play within this, and they don't actually know how it's going to come to be. They talk about the threat of the Poison Jab from the Sneasler, but bear in mind that with Diaclaw it has the opportunity to use to make your opponent either suffer from paralysis, sleep, or poison. just a bit like there is a move called Tri-Attack, which does the same thing, but it's a normal base move and it's used by Pokemon like Magneton. And now we're into round 2. So the Giovanni is starting off with Basculegion and Frostlass, and the Theatime is using the Delphox and the Sneasler. It's a shiny Delphox. Yeah, so they talk about how the teams are currently under pressure, what the design is going to be, what kind of thought process they're looking at. We have to kind of wait and see what the first moves are going to be, and then you can kind of work from there. Sneaser's going to be returned, and he's going to be trading out for the King Gambit. Okay, so the Delphox is going in. Oh, okay, so it's a Mega Delphox. So he's actually switched out his Mega Evolution Pokemon from the Mega Floette. And now we're also getting the Mega Frostlass. Okay, so the snow has been set up. Delphox is using Protect. And the Aurora Veil has been set up. So again, this is to protect his side's Pokemon from both attack and special attack. Wave Crash is been used directly into the Delphox, so that's a wasted move. And because the King Gambit was switched in on that turn, it means that he can't do anything with it. So now that there is no support for the Pokemon, and because he's already used Protect, if Protect is used twice in succession, that's why I believe the... Oh, okay, so that's why the Delphox has been switched out. Sneasler has been brought back in. Shadow Ball is being used against the Sneasler. It's done a lot of damage, more than half. And the Wave Crash is also being used against the King Gambit. That's done more than half the damage. There is some recall about what looks to be almost 40 hit points, so that's about a fifth. King Gambit is going into the Swords Dance to sharply boost up its attack points. You can't focus entirely on the Delphox, as the narrator is saying, because the King Gambit is looking to set up. It's where you start ignoring one Pokemon that can actually be your downfall. They're now going... Sneaser's being traded back, and they're going for the Sinister. And it's going to be using Hospitality, so that will actually... that's useful. Okay, oh wow, look. Sucker Punch instantly takes out the Frostlass in one hit KO. So it goes straight into... Okay, now Wave Crash is... Oh, it's not enough to defeat the King Gambit. And it's still taking more recall damage. There seems to be a lot more pressure on Giovanni in this match in round 2. So Theatime seems to be able to read what his opponent is doing a lot better in this round. He seems to have been able to work out the strategy. I don't know, is Giovanni just using very similar Pokemon and is just kind of kept to the same kind of idea that you bring out the Frostlass first and set up the Aurora Veil? In which case he seems to have broken that. Now Sneasler has been brought out. This is a shiny, and this is by Giovanni. Both of his Pokemon can use Protect, both the Sinister and King Gambit, so I don't know whether it will be a dual protection for the turn. The Caesar's been returned, and he's going into the Incineroar. So this will reduce the attack points of both the Sinister and the King Gambit. But King Gambit has Defiant as the ability, so instead of reducing, it's actually increased its attack points. But yeah, he's gone with double protect.
Oh man, here's what you have to be thinking yourself. You spent the entirety of game one trying to accomplish exactly this play, trying to switch fake out on a double protect from the other side.
Yeah, so that's really worked against him, bringing out the Incineroar. Yeah, so as we were kind of waiting on the decision, yeah, at the moment it is looking more favourably for Theatre Time in round 2. King Gambit's used Protect, but that's failed because that was used the second time in a row. The Fake Out has been used in the King Gambit, but that's done barely any damage. Last Respect has been used, and that's enough to take out the King Gambit. That was the bigger of the threats. Actually getting rid of it was necessary. And you have the Match Gotcha, which has been used. Oh, that's enough to take out the Basque Legion. But it's barely touched the Incineroar. It was 13 hit points. That's not even 10%. You're looking at just over 5%, 5-6%. So now he's had to go back into the Delphrox, and you've got the Sneasler. The Incineroar has next to no damage on it. So pretty much you're starting off with almost fully fresh Pokemon. It's almost like a clean slate. You've got 3 Pokemon with no damage at all and barely any damage done to the Incineroar. They're discussing about how Throat Chop's an option from the Incineroar side. That could do a lot of damage to both Pokemon. It would be super effective against Delphox, and it would be decent damage even though it's just kind of neutral damage. Oh, the Delphox has been used to Protect, so it will be okay for the turn. And Sinister has also used Protect, so double Protect. This means that the opponent at the moment, Giovanni, can't really do anything. Instead, all that happens is Theatime's able to see what moves he was going to use and hopefully look to counter from that. Okay, Sneasler has now used Protect. And Sinister has used Rage Powder, so that will focus any attacks onto it. Psy Shock has been used by the Delphox, but that was ignored by Protect. And Throat Chop was used against the Sinister, and it's done a decent amount of damage, nearly 50%. The Sneasler's using Protect, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Rage Powder's been used again, so that'll focus any attacks onto the Sinister. Psy Shock has been used against the Sneasler, and that's enough to bring it to 1 HP, but it will have a Focus Sash. Incineroar has now used the Throat Chop, which almost takes out the Sinister. It's got 9 HP to go. Okay, so as they're thinking, currently there's 2 Pokemon with barely any HP. The Sinistra has 9 HP and the Sneasler has 1 HP. Both are likely to go out within the same turn. So the Sneasler is then using Protect. And the Rage Powder is again being used by the Sinistra to focus the attack. Psy Shock has been used against the Sneasler, but again it's protecting itself, so it's actually fine. Throat Chop's been used, so that will actually be sufficient to take out the Sinistra. That means there's no way of focusing the attack on it now, and so the opponent will be able to go into the Delphox if he chooses to. Now, I feel that this turn will make actually the difference. If they can manage against the Delphox, that might be enough to close down the game and get it to Giovanni winning 2-0. Or you might be in a situation where Theatime has been able to take out the Sneasler and actually leave pretty much Giovanni with just the Incineroar. The battle has ended due to a forfeit. Who has... Okay, so Theatime's won. Okay, so Giovanni is given in for that one. I don't necessarily always like that they give up. I know it would have been difficult, but I would have liked to have seen the natural conclusion of the game rather than for the opponent just to say, I quit. So we started off with the Sucker Punch, which took out the Mega Frostlass, and that was a one-hit KO. That was one of his key Pokemon, and the main setup strategy. Wave Crash did a lot of damage to the King's Gambit by the Basculegion, and then he was able to take it out with a secondary strike. The Sinistra used Machigacha to be able to heal itself and to take out the Basculegion. Throat Chop was also used. It did a lot of damage to the Sinistra. And so now it's down to a 1-1 tie at the moment. So it's down to game 3, and depending on the strategy of what each player is going to be using. Both Pokemon, both players have apparently 2 Mega Evolution options. So yeah, he has yet to use Dragonite, and in neither match was that an option used. He's always chosen the Mega Frostlass to set up. Whereas Theo, I believe, has gone for a Mega Floette and then the Mega Delphox. Okay, so Floette's up. So yeah, we have a Mega Floette versus a Mega Dragonite this time. Even if you guess the Mega correctly, there is always that question of what moves are they using which will take out your own Mega. So Theo has brought out the correct Mega for what he needs, but it's how you execute that which will make that difference. It says Sneasler will have its work cut out for it at the moment. Dragonite has been swapped out instantly, supposedly wants to protect it, and it's being swapped in for the Incineroar. The Omni Ring has been activated, so this will bring out the Mega Floette. And so the Fairy type moves are going to be more powerful. Fake Out has been used by the Sneasler. Close Combat has also been used by the opponent Sneasler. It doesn't do as much damage, it does about a third, but the Floette can't move either. And the Theo's Steezer's defense and special defense have gone down by 1 state each. Right, so for this, they're still in. It's still quite early in game 3. We don't know how it's working. Sneezers have been brought back by Theo, and he's bringing out his own Incineroar. Floette is using Protect. The Poison Jab was being used into the Floette, but that's avoided by Protect. Parting Shot's been used against the Incineroar, so that'll reduce the Incineroar by Theo by its attack and special attack, and is going into the Vascular Legion. Right, so now we're waiting on their decisions. So the Floette's coming back, and he's bringing out the Sinister. The same strategy used last time. Poison Jab doesn't really do much. It's about a sixth. Oh, there we go. There's the Wave Crash, and that just completely takes out the Theo's Incineroar as a one hit KO. The Floette's been brought out again, so this is the Mega. So it wasn't able to Rage Powder to focus the attacks on itself. So Geo's currently kind of presenting quite a lot of pressure. He's not actually lost any of his Pokemon so far. He's revealed them all, but he's just not lost any. Both the Pokemon used by Theo are relatively strong. They've got about 30-something hit points taken from each of their scores. And then the Sneeze has been returned by Giovanni, and is bringing out the Incineroar. So both attacks are being reduced. Rage Powder is going to focus any attacks onto the Sinister. Moon Blast has been used by the Floette, and that's going to take out the Vascular Legion. And now he's bringing out his Dragonites. So whether this must be the time he's going to choose to Mega Evolve his Pokemon. So they're now deciding what they're going to do. So currently the Incineroar is fully healthy, so it's not too big of an issue. Dragonite is now going into the Mega Evolution. So this will provide both the speed advantage and the special attack set. Fake Out has been used against the Floette. And Dragonite is setting up for Tailwind. Sinister is using Matcha Gotcha. It does barely any damage to either of the Pokemon. And there's no HP gain really. It's so tiny. It doesn't change the game state at all. And that level of damage and the health restore is nothing. I wonder how Giovanni is going to be focusing. Is he going to be targeting the Floette, knowing that it has Protect? Or whether is he going to go into the Sinistra? Or whether his opponent is going to force the attacks into the Sinistra using the Rage Powder. Okay, so yeah, Sinistra's using Protect. Heat Wave is going... Oh, okay, so that's going to be avoided. And it does some damage to the Floette, but not much. The Flare Blitz is protected. Oh, and now Moonblast is going to be used against the Dragonite. So his Mega Evolution Pokemon has just been straight out taken out. Geo's down. And it's going to be forced to deal with the Rage Powder. This is the Sneasler. So yeah, they're wondering what's going to happen at the moment, given the differences at the moment, because Geo's lost his Mega Evolution Pokemon. Theo's got his Mega Floette is about half health, well, directly half health. Barely anything's happened to the Sinistra, but it will probably be used to protect its... Okay, so now Floette's using Protect. Sneasler is using Poison Jam, and that's going straight into the Sinistra. I think he just wants it done with. Oh, Poison has been activated. Flare Blitz has been used into the Floette, but that's avoided by Protect. And the Sinistra is using Trick Room. So speed advantage now goes into Tio's team. This is going to be a lot of damage that is going to happen this turn, I think. Really depends on what he's going to be reading. Given that the Floette used Protect last turn, it would be a safe bet to try and target the Floette. Because if it tries to use a secondary Protect, it's more likely to fail. Okay, so Sneasler is using Protect. The Rage Powder has been used on the Sinistra. The Incineroar is that. Okay, Moonblast has been used in Sneasler, and that's protected itself. And the Throat Chop's been used. Oh, that's enough to take out the Sinistra. And now Sneasler's been brought out. Okay, so the Sneasler is at full health. You know, it's basically been swapping in and out. It's not going to be impacted too heavily by anything. Sneasler has used Protect, but it has failed. And the other Sneasler has used a Fake Out. And that was against the Incineroar. Moonblast has been used, and that's enough to take out Giovanni's Sneasler. Okay, so now Giovanni's down to just his Incineroar. That might be enough to win out the game. I think the Floette can now use Protect. Incineroar is going into a Flare Blitz. It almost took out the Sneasler, but it's not enough. Floette is using the Moonblast. That might be enough. Yeah, that's enough to close out the game. So match win goes to Theo. So Theo time. So yeah, he has won his first round. Congratulations to him. Yeah, it seems that the team preview was quite good. He's done well for himself, so he is a representative for the EU. The previous winner was the United States champion. And now as a replay, you can see the key moments. Basica Legion being taken down by Moonblast. And that's from the Mega Floette. Moonblast is also used against the Mega Dragonite to take it out in one clean shot. The Incineroar on Theotime's turn was used to take out the Sinister with Throat Chop. Throat Chop was also used in another round to take out the Sinister, so that seemed to be a common play. Floette uses the Moonblast. It was very common against also the Sneasler, and that actually did make the point of difference. The double protect was enough to basically protect him from much of any damage that was taken. This is kind of the last stop turn to get the global championship points.
All the players in the field trying to earn those last championship points, trying to keep the records healthy enough to earn them.
They're trying to keep their records healthy enough to be able to compete, because it's only the top allocation. Even if you get a certain amount, you do still need to work towards, in case any of the opponents try and kind of come up.
Envisions great things ahead.
If you finish up phase 1 with 8 rounds in phase 1 today, and you get a record of at least 6 wins or better, you will be able to play in phase 2 of Swiss.
Okay, so if he can get at least 6 wins in today's tournament, then you can go down to round 2 of Swiss. So that's actually the Saturday's tournament. So all wins will count, even if you have a loss on your record. It doesn't mean you can necessarily give up. There are still opportunities for you to get through. Yeah, so they're saying that even those who have lost maybe twice in their first rounds have actually sometimes come back to win the entire championship. You just have to perform the best you can for the time. You're having to just work through the stress and manage your timings. But if obviously it'll make you feel a bit more comfortable if you can kind of start out with that undefeated record. There are still an additional 6 rounds of Swiss to play. So they've got more than 1,000 competitors currently playing. So they're going to have to be choosing their matches quite carefully. A lot of them will cover at least one player who has reached a top cut of some championship, because those are the main people. there will be some surprises down the line, but as each tournament goes, you will anticipate there will be one or two new ones. You know, as older ones either kind of get out of the game, or they just find that actually there are new strategies that haven't been adopted yet, and that will go into the game. Those are always options that they can choose upon.
That's going to do it for us for Swiss round number 2, but don't worry, we've got Scott bringing even more on this match, so Scott.
So yeah, now they're going to go down to the post-game analysis.
Incredible match. I won't bore you guys with too many thoughts here. I'm flying solo this time, but what an incredible match, right? Really fun.
And yeah, so they're now, so it's only going to be this guy on his own at the moment. The other guy has gone for a moment.
I think it's almost a shame to try to break this down turn by turn, because I think this one really was one of the team previews in the selection of Mega Pokemon in particular. Both sides with two different Mega Evolved Pokemon.
Both sides were using completely different Mega Evolved Pokemon. They both had two options to choose from. So Theatime used either Mega Delphox or Mega Floette, and Giovanni mostly used Mega Frostlass within his round 1 and round 2. He did choose to bring out his Mega Dragonite for round 3, but that was predicted.
On my players all across the world. This option is always at the 5th slot there, or 6th slot, I guess. The 4th on this was Gambit. Originally, the Neon, different number of attackers throughout the course of the adaptation of the team, as players have tried to figure out different ways to do more offense in the team. Vasculegion has often been that slot, but I think there's several.
Vasculegion has often kind of reached the slot that they needed to at the time.
One thing very critical throughout the course of this match, so it'll be interesting to see how that adaptation works out. I think, otherwise, without some Pokemon like that one, you're really relying on that Mega Evolved Pokemon and then Sneeze.
There is reliance on the Mega Evolution Pokemon to do a lot of the hard hitting.
Mega Evolved Pokemon is set up, you kind of can't use it as offensively as you would with another.
By using the Mega Frostlass kind of more on a setup, it was used less on the offensive side, and so even though it could protect it, ironically it wasn't the main hitter for Giovanni's team. It was more so the Vasculegion and the Incineroar and maybe the King Gambit. Sneasler tried, but it was more of like a mixed, and it was kind of borderline not that useful.
And then kind of a variety of other Pokemon depending on what matchup the trainer wants to focus on here. I think Frostlass in particular is sort of the Pokemon to watch in this matchup, where it's really good conditionally.
They were saying in this match Frostlass was the one to watch, but in certain situations, you know, because it was very highlighted that it was one of his key Pokemon, that was the one that he was going to go into the most. Sinister can't successfully kind of switch into a Blizzard, because unless it wants to get defeated in that turn. There was a bit of a mind game going on between him and his opponent. In the first game, yeah, he was very heavily fixated on the Frostlass to his advantage, but because he won round 1, that pretty much told Theo how he was planning on playing. The Aurora Veil actually did make that difference. He wasn't able to really attack when, you know, the Calm Mines were being set up. There was next to no damage that was used against the Frostlass, especially when the Incineroar was frozen by the Blizzard. There's a quick switch out between the Pokemon. And then the King Gambit was brought out, whereas it wasn't in the second round. There was a lot of damage that was initially done to the Sneasler, and then the Basculegion also did a lot of damage through Wave Crash, but it barely did much in terms of additional support. King Gambit was starting to set up with Swords Dance, and because it was really being ignored, that's why I think he took that as an opportunity. Defiant was used as the Incineroar switched in, which actually worked against Giovanni. Protect was used on the Floette, and there was a lot of double protects used. Last Respects was enough to take out the King Gambit, but it was down to less than 30 HP. The Matcha Gacha was pretty useless. It was good on the Basculegion to take it out, but it did next to no damage on the Incineroar. So Incineroar was brought in, and it was used to double intimidate. The Floette was brought out, the Mega Floette. Yeah, so they were saying that actually Giovanni looked quite good in the middle of round 2. He was swapping out and predicting his opponent's reads, but the Mega Floette was very intense. The Moon Blast was took out his Basculegion, which he was using as his main attack Pokemon. It was a significant advantage, and it was just too much for him to take. And then even, you know, bringing in the Mega Dragonite, it was not enough for round 3. Even using the Heat Wave, it really only... it was protected by the Sinistra, and when used against the Mega Floette did nothing before a Moon Blast just one-hit KO it. Sneasler had used Protect, but that had failed, and then the Sneasler on the opponent's side, Giovanni's side, was able to flinch. Floette used used the Moon Blast, then take out the Sneasler. And then, yeah, so he was able to kind of close out the game.
I can only imagine how great we're going to see a tournament this weekend if these first 2 rounds are anything to use as an example for how good matches are going to be. Great start here, 2 really fantastic.
So yeah, that was quite a shocking victory, but yeah, he was just so fixated on the Mega Frostlass, and then because 2 of the 3 games were used with that, it was predictable to think, okay, he's got another Mega Evolution Pokemon on that team, he's going to use that Pokemon for his 3rd. So now they're just having an introduction to Christopher Han. So he spends about 6 hours a week playing. He might spend 12 to 15 when he's preparing for tournaments. His favourite Pokemon is the Mimikyu, when his first game was Pokemon X and Y. And his favourite kind of was the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Mimikyu as a totem Pokemon that he thought was a really good format in 2017. and he says it's his favourite Pokemon, likely to be forever. He prefers to play online, you know. Oh, okay, so he actually prefers in person because he gets to talk around. So in person, but yeah, online it can be a bit lonely. He likes Regulation F, but it's not one of his favourites. He's not a fan of Regulation H, but he's glad to see that it's now hitting the end of the format and that we've adapted to the new meta. So it's ending out as a good format. One piece of advice he'd like to give to any trainer is you should always be playing to win. Don't play... I think when people play not to lose, you know you're kind of making safe plays, and that has a snowball effect. And yeah, so your opponent is able to then correct. He loves his kind of stats applied maths project, where he estimated the negative effects of gambling in America. So he's able to take something that he has to do in normal study and apply that to real-term situations. And in terms of his other hobbies, he likes to play the violin. He'd like to be able to create his own Pokemon. The games are very short, he says, just kind of trading attacks. And whoever trades attacks better. Ah, okay, so the Z move Destiny Bond, so he's referring to different types of setup. He wants to see a better version of an Intimidate Pokemon. And he wants to, if he were to relive a match, he'd love to be the one at the 2022 NAIC where he won. He used a Lunana with his Rockfall, and that was enough to take out the opponent's Incineroar. He says that they're still friends to this day, and that he sees him. So yeah, he prefers being a night person. Yeah, so he does a lot of his practicing in the night. So he's more of a night person than a day person. And now they're going to be interviewing Marco Silva. Yeah, he's talked about how he's happy to be able to compete again. So he was talking about the Turin match, and you know, he was the winner of that. The next match, by the way, is they're setting up for in another 2.5 minutes, as you can see. He wanted to use something fresh and kind of more innovative. Yeah, and he didn't want to spoil his new team, as he had already looked at his previous team, so he made it a bit different from the team he had in Turin.
Are you ready to back this weekend?
No. I decided to stick to my plan and only use it for Turin, even if, honestly, after using it, I felt like it could have been like pretty good as well.
So yeah, he's looking forward to any additional game competitions that are going on at the moment. He's not expecting too much going into this, but he would like to, you know, just be open to any opportunities that are currently available to him. Yeah, you have to have a certain level of luck when it comes to the tournament play, because if you're up against very tough opponents, obviously at the start, then that means your points totals are likely to get hit. Whereas if you start off with some of the weaker ones, then you kind of work your way up, and you still have the opportunity to go up and reach higher top cuts. He loves the designs of Pokemon such as Charizard. He feels that's one of the Pokemon that's kind of the go-to at the moment. But yeah, he says that's kind of the team that he's working towards now. But he's not sure about the player who's running the Charizard who's going to win.
Well, Marco, you already got a win. Best of luck going into this weekend. For us, time to see how the competition's going to pan out.
And now, yeah, they're going to go straight into the next round. And you've just got a small ad break here. It's just a very short bit here. This, you know, they always have some of these around, but that's okay. Round 1 and round 2 actually looked quite interesting. There was some Pokemon that are kind of commonly used, and then you've got some differences. Wow, look at the number of people that are in this. That's a lot of players. And yeah, as they said, they've got about 1,000 people playing, so you're going to just get the key matches round. Now we've got 3 of the hosts that are here, so we've got Lee Provost, Sierra Dawn, and Scott Glaser. So they're now looking to break down some of the future matches as they're setting up for round 3. So here they have got Masters round 2, feature match 1. Okay, so this is Masters are the senior people. Here they've got a King Gambit and a Scovillain versus a what is going to be probably a Mega Floette and a Sneasler. We've seen that combination already. And this is Leonard Craft III versus Yichan Wu. I don't know what nationalities they represent. I think one must be either Japanese or China, or you know, the Asian territories. And obviously, when I see Leonard, it could be a US representative. Okay, so in this, the King Gambit was brought back and it was exchanged for a Basculegion. And the Mega Evolution was triggered for the Mega Floette. And that will power up its fairy type moves. Oh, okay, so the Mega Evolution is for the Mega Scovillain. You know, since we had the introduction of Pokemon Legends Arceus, I've not been keeping track of the different Mega Evolution Pokemon they've got. Well, I know they introduced more than 20. So I was... that's just one of them I can't remember going for. So the Floette was using Carmine, setting itself up. So that's a special attack, special defense boost. Super Fang was avoided by the Floette, but it's hurt by the poison, and the Sneasler is hurt by burn. Scovillain must have been taken a lot of damage. Basculegion's pretty much been ignored. Yeah, they talk about how you can't burn Incineroar, but obviously there's 2 status conditions on the field currently, so Sneasler's been burnt and the Scovillain has been poisoned. With the poison damage, even if they were to ignore the Scovillain for the turn, it would pretty much lose unless it had some sort of status recovery. Then they swap out for the Incineroar. The Mega Floette uses Protect. Scovillain uses Rage Powder to force any attacks its way. And the Basculegion uses Wave Crash to take... Well, it doesn't take... It does 3/4 the damage, 75%. There is quite a lot of damage that in recoil, but it has... The Scovillain goes down by poison, so it was ignored. Citrus Berry was used. The Sneasel has been brought back onto the field. So the trainers are determining what they're going to do. So far, the Basculegion and the Sneasel are fine. Floette has not been touched. Incineroar is down to half its health. Incineroar's been returned. And the Sneasel has been sent back onto the field. Sneasels have been used by Leonard to flinch, and the Sneasel is almost taken out by the wave crash. And there's a burn. So yeah, as they're kind of going through this, I have to see. So the Sneasel is coming back, and Incineroar is being sent back onto the field. It's using Intimidate, but the White Hive has been used by the Sneasel to keep its stats. King Gambit's been switched in from Sneasel, but the other Sneasel is using Protect. Floette uses Dazzling Gleam. That is going to be protected from the Sneasel, but it is going to impact the King Gambit. Because it's part dark, part steel, it becomes neutral damage. If that had been pure dark, that would have been super effective. If it had been pure steel, that wouldn't have been effective at all. So it's kind of like a middle ground. So here we've got both the Incineroar and the King Gambit, which are down to half or less than half their health. Neither the Floette nor the Sneasel have been impacted by anything really much. Well, the Floette's taken 22 damage. Sneasel has not taken any damage. By switching out in this situation, you're able to deal with this a lot easier. The Sneasel has been returned for a Basculegion, so they both seem to be using a Basculegion. King Gambit is using Protect. And the Basculegion has been taken out. I think that might be the Throat Chop. Sneasel has been returned to the field. Okay, so Sneasel is using Close Combat to take out the Incineroar. That was enough just to instantly take out in a one-hit KO. Dazzling Gleam has been used to take out both the Sneasel and the King Gambit. And that was a loss from him. They have a number of different matches that are going on at the moment. They're just kind of showcasing, obviously, the most important ones, just from anyone who has, been a main player, and anyone who has won a championship or been kind of close to top cut. And on occasion, they will show parts of feature matches so that everyone has a little bit of something that they can go through. So yeah, this is now, they're looking at this is another Masters round. Okay, so this is game 2 for them. So we've got Palafin and Sneasler versus Sneasler and Frostlass. Of the Mega Evolutions, you've got Frostlass there is probably the easy one to detect. Not necessarily sure on what the opponent is running as a Mega Evolution. It's probably going to be... I can see an Aerodactyl there, so that could be it. Or it could be the Mega Floette. Palafin is typically a physical attacker. And so you'll be looking at things like Aquajet and that. Whereas the Frostlass being a special attacker. Sneezers are both physical attackers. Fake Out has been used against the other Sneezer. And Blizzard has been used... It does more than half damage to the Sneezer, but it does about nearly 60 damage to the Palafin, which is about a third. Wave Crash does a lot of damage to the Sneezer, and there's a little bit of damage, but it gets recovered through leftovers. So yeah, at the moment the both Sneezers are looking quite fragile. The Palafin's okay, and the Frostlass has not been touched. I would go after the Frostlass if that were me, because it is the main. It's the only Mega Evolution he has put a Mega Evolution Pokemon on. So that's definitely just where I would go. I know the Sneezer is nothing to kind of sleep on. You know, if you ignore it, then it's going to sneak up on you. But it's been swapped out for the Basculegion. Palafin's using Protect. The Sneezer is using Close Combat, but that does not affect the Basculegion. Frostlass is again using a Blizzard. That isn't going to affect the Palafin, but it's enough to take out the Sneezer. Leftovers then activate again, so Palafin gets some more HP. Yeah, so yeah, the forcing the reveal of all 4 Pokemon means that you at least have some insight. Now, his additional Pokemon is the King Gambit. So on the opponent's team, Basculegion and Frostlass haven't taken any damage. Palafin's been returned, and they're going to bring out the Incineroar. This will lower the attack stat of both Basculegion and Frostlass. The Sucker Punch has been used on Basculegion. It only has 15 HP left, but they use a Citrus Berry to recover to 69 points. Blizzard's used, but it's not effective on either. Wave Crash is then used on the King Gambit. That doesn't take out the Basculegion, and not enough damage on either of the Pokemon. Right, so here we're still wondering what's going to happen. King Gambit's under threat, Basculegion's under threat. Neither the Incineroar nor the Frostlass are really been too affected by anything.
Well, as for us to break the third wall, we are coming back over to us.
Okay, so now that was just giving you just a brief summary of that one. So are they not going to be discussing the third round, or what's going on? Because it seems a little bit strange for them to just cut that off, rather than actually just actively pursue it. Yeah, that does seem a bit bizarre.
Really interesting not to see the Mega Select now as well. Okay, because it's still the full Pokemon. The Paladin kind of essentially from
They'll talk about the effectiveness of the Palafin. That was nothing in comparison to the Basque Legion. It's such a heavy hitter. Of anything, yeah, it's definitely one of the ones that you're probably more concerned to deal with. So we're now looking at the next main rounds. This is current pairing Swiss round 3 matches. It's Arsel Puri versus Christopher Han, both United States. So there's a regional title for Arsel to have actually won going into this. This is kind of a fresh victory. And yeah, so now we've got the breakdown of the Pokemon they've got. So Arsel Puri is using a Frostlass, a Scovillain, a Basculegion, a Kingambit, a Lycanroc, and a Sneasler. Christopher Han is using a Charizard, a Floette, a Basculegion, Garchomp, Kingambit, and Whimsicott. So each of them are using a Basculegion, a Kingambit, and that is it. Everything else is different. There are potentially 2 Mega Evolutions for both players, the Frostlass and the Scovillain, and the Charizard and the Floette. And so now, yeah, it seems that we're going into this round. So yeah, they're just discussing exactly what they're going to do, and this is the team setup. So we have for the Frostlass, it's got Blizzard, so an ice type move, Shadow Ball, which is a ghost type move, Aurora Veil, which is that protection move, and Protect. And we have Scovillain, which is the Overheat fire type move, Giga Drain for life point recovery, and a grass type move, Rage Powder to force attacks onto it, which is a bug type move, Protect. The Basculegion is got Wave Crash, water type move, Last Resort's a ghost type move, Aqua Jet for priority and water types, and a Protect. The Kingambit has Kowtow Cleave, Dark type, Sucker Punch for priority and Dark type move, Swords Dance for setup to boost its attack points, and Protect. The Lycanroc Dusk form has the Excel Rock, which is a priority rock type move, Rock Slide, which is it'll hit both of the opponent's Pokemon as a rock type move, Close Combat, which is a physical fighting type move, and Protect. And the Sneasler has Fake Out, normal type move for flinching, Close Combat, which is also a fighting type move, which will do a lot of damage, but it reduces the defense and special defense stats of your Pokemon once each. With Christopher's team, you've got the Charizard, which has Weather Ball, which is a normal type move, Heat Wave, which is a fire type, Solar Beam, which is a grass type move, and Protect. Obviously, you'd be using a Drought setup, because that's why you have Solar Beam on there, and for Weather Ball. For the Floette, it has Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, and Light of Ruin, which are all fairy type moves, and Protect. Basculegion has the Wave Crash and Last Respects. It has a water type move in that, and the Aqua Jet is water type priority. Last Respects is a ghost type move, and Protect is a normal type move. The Garchomp has Dragon Claw, a dragon type move, Earthquake, an earth, a ground type move, a Rock Slide, which is a rock type move, and Protect. The Kingambit has Kowtow Cleaver and Sucker Punch, so both dark type moves. Sucker Punch is a priority dark type attack move. Iron Head is a steel type move which has the potential to flinch and Protect. And his Whimsicott has Tailwind for setup to speed up your moves, well, your Pokemon. Moonblast Fairy type coverage, and Encore and Protect. So all of that tends to be within alignment. And now they're about to start the match. So we start off with the Whimsicott and the Charizard. It's a shiny Charizard. And then on the other side we have the Sneasler and the Frostlass. So it almost seems that both of them are showcasing their Mega Evolution Pokemon in the start of the round. They're looking at which Pokemon are going to use their Mega Evolution forms first. And so, yeah, Frostlass has been switched out. Obviously, there's a threat from the Charizard, and they're switching out for the Lycanroc Dusk form. And, yeah, so Mega Charizard Y has been brought out, and that will go into a Drought play. Sunlight turned Harsh. Sneasler is using Fake Out on the Mega Charizard Y to prevent it from attacking. Whimsicott is going for the Moonblast on the Sneasler, which is doing about a third of the damage. And yeah, because the Lycanroc's just been swapped in, it can't move the rest of the turn. So in round 3, I believe both of these might have had victories beforehand. Okay, so now he's swapping out for King Gambit. And the Charizard's been swapped out for the Basculegion. The Accelerock has been used by the Lycanroc, where the Charizard would have been. And the Moonblast has been used by the Whimsicott. Lycanroc is down to less than half its HP. The Lycanroc is going to switch out for the Frostlass. Now that the Charizard's been removed from the picture. The Whimsicott's doing a lot of damage here. It's going after everything. And the Wave Crash has been used, so he's doubled into the King Gambit slot. King Gambit is now down to about a third of its HP, but it has just set up with the Sword Stance. So there's a decision that needs to be made here. If he goes into King Gambit, he can pretty much guarantee if he attacks twice, and this is Christopher attacking into the King Gambit with both of his Pokemon, or he can choose to go into the Mega Frostlass and ignore the King Gambit, which is a problem as it's already got a +2 in attacks boosts. But that Frostlass is looking like it's going to set up for a Mega Evolution pretty much now. Yeah, as I was saying, I knew this was going to be the case. It would set up for a Mega Evolution. It's now going, yeah, now Snowballing's been set up. Protect has been used by the Whimsicott. Basculegion's also used Protect, so double Protect. And King Gambit has used Protect, so there's no damage that's been done this turn. The only thing that's been... okay, and yeah, no damage. Literally, the Frostlass tried to use Blizzard to take both Pokemon out. Other than that, nothing has actually happened. It was almost like a wasted turn. Only thing that was achieved, really, was he was able to get off his Mega Frostlass without sustaining any damage. So yeah, the narrators are talking about how if the Mega Charizard was to be brought in, that would then remove the snow from the field. So that prevents it from being used. The Applejack was used quite well. Did a lot of damage to the King Gambit, and yeah, as a double in with the Moonblast, that is King Gambit gone. It really didn't do anything with the attack boost. Blizzard is used and it nearly takes out the Whimsicott. It does have a Focus Sash. And it had the Basculegion is now down to under about 40% of his health. The Sneezer's been returned to the field. So yeah, that's quite decent. So Whimsicott is using Protect. So that'll keep the Whimsicott around. Sneasler is used to fake out into that slot, so that's a wasted move. Shadow Ball has been used against the Basket Legion. That might and now Charizard's been brought in, so that will get rid of the snow. The Sneezer's taken a lot of damage, so that's unfortunate. Well, yeah. And the Whimsicott is basically non-existent. 1 HP. If there's a priority move on anything, it can take... Okay, so the Whimsicott's going to set up for the Tailwind, so at least his side's going to be faster. Weather Ball's been used against the Frostlass, and that'll just take it out instantly. Because with Weather Ball, it's determined on the weather conditions, so it's a normal type move, but if in the sun, that becomes a fire type move. Gunk Shot's also unfortunately not worked. It's a bit of a shame, but that's how it goes. Lycanroc's been sent back into the field, so it might go for an Excel Rock, which is 4 times effective against the Charizard, it being a fire flying type. Charizard is using Protect. So yeah, they knew that we weren't going to be safe with that. Encore has been used by the Whimsicott onto the Sneasler, so it'll force the move. But the Excel Rock was actually used against the Whimsicott to take it out rather than to go into the Mega Charizard, which I think is a smart move. Gunk Shot isn't worked because there is no other Pokemon and because it already used Protect. Oh, and now we've got a Garchomp been introduced onto the field. Now they're just deciding on the next move, so Charizard tried to use Protect again. It failed because that's a double Protect. Excel Rock was used and it just completely obliterated the Charizard. It is down. And the Sneasler, I mean, what's it going to do? Garchomp moves first. It takes out both the Sneasler and the Lycanroc. That's a double knockout. Oh, so he's got game win. Christopher's just you know, he actually sacrificed his Charizard and he was able to win out just with a Earthquake, which impacted both of the opponent's Pokemon, but there was nothing he could do. The key moment here, obviously taking out the Basket Legion, was huge. But also, likewise, he lost his Frostlass to a Fire-type Weather Ball. The Encore has been used on the Sneasler, so yeah, that's going to have done quite a lot. The Excel Rock was enough to just, you know, the Whimsicott only had 1 HP. And yeah, it was a well-checked move. I mean, the Earthquake, just rather than use one focused move, just use a move that will attack both yours and your opponent, and that'll be enough to actually take it out. That's quite shocking, actually. So yeah, that's quite a lot to deal with. Yeah, so he was able to completely disrupt the opponent. And because that was a pivotal moment, yeah, that was a lot to do. And that was so much. Yeah, the emphasis was to get that very speedy Garchomp together and be able to do as much damage as possible. So they're now going into game number 2. I wonder how they've changed the pairings, what Pokemon they've chosen to bring in. So in this one, we've got Christopher, who's brought in the Basculegion and Whimsicott, and Puri has brought in the Sneasler and the King Gambit. Let's see how they fare. At the moment they're just making a decision. Okay, so it's now been... Whimsicott is now using Protect. And Sneasler used Fake Out, but that went into the Protect slot, so the Whimsicott's fine. Wave Crash is used by the Basculegion, and that takes out the Sneasler. Straight one-hit KO. That's taken out about a third of its HP, but to take out an entire Pokemon is great. King Gambit's set up with Swords Dance, so it is +2 in its attack stat, and Frostlass has been brought out, so that's the Mega Evolution Pokemon. It's going to be a bit of a decider whether what he's going to do. Is he going to take out the King Gambit, which is trying to set up, or is he going to try it on the Frostlass, which we know is going to go into its Mega form? Okay, yeah, so as is predicted, the Mega Evolution for the Mega Frostlass has appeared. And that will activate the Snow Warning. Whimsicott's going straight into Tailwind to boost his team up in the speed for 2 turns. The Aqua Jet's been used on the King Gambit, but it doesn't do much, and the Sucker Punch does not work. Blizzard is used, which brings Whimsicott down to 1 HP because of its Focus Sash, and now the Basculegion has only about half of its health. So now, yeah, as they're deciding, pretty much that Whimsicott's gone. You know, there's no even point of even looking at it. The Basculegion being down to half its health is probably going to go at the end of the turn. Aqua Jet does some damage, but not enough. Sucker Punch only works if it reacts before a priority move. We have the Moonblast, which has been used on the Frostlass. And the Frostlass is going to use the Shadow Ball on the Basculegion to take it out. Yeah, so that's a couple of his Pokemon gone. The Floette's been brought out, so this is going to be his potential Mega Pokemon. So we have had 3 turns of snow up at the moment. So out of 5 turns.
Right now, and with Light of Ruin, even a Moonblast will probably be enough to get the sting out of it. You've got to be very careful how you approach this next turn as well. You want to be
I wonder kind of what they're deciding on at the moment. It's going to be quite difficult. Okay, so as you predicted, the Floette is going to become a Mega Floette. And that's going to use its Fairy Aura. Whimsicott's using Protect. It has 1 hit point. Floette is using Protect, so it's a double Protect for the turn. Sucker Punch is used, but that's going to fail. And Blizzard's used, and that's also going to fail. So that turn was a bit of a waste. Nothing happened in the turn. No Pokemon fainted, no damage taken. It's pretty much just, okay, I've seen what you've been doing, what your strategy is. If Christopher goes for Protect for either his 2 Pokemon for this turn, they are more likely to fail than they are to actually work. And that's generally how Protect works. It will guarantee on the first turn, but any subsequent turns are a bit shaky. There are 2 turns left of the snow. Sucker Punch is used, and that will take out the Whimsicott. I think he was going to use a Moonblast on the Frostlass. So yeah, he's down now. Light Ruin is used, and that is going to take... Oh, is that going to take out... Oh, yep, that's enough to take out the Frostlass. So that's also gone down. There is recall damage from that effect. The Tailwind has now petered out, so there is no longer any speed boost that the Whimsicott had. And because there is no Whimsicott left, there is nothing that can be done. Okay, so now Puri has brought out his Lycanroc, and Christopher has his Garchomp. Garchomp again has the potential to use Earthquake just to eradicate the opponent. Yeah, the Excel Rock has been used on the Garchomp. I don't know what's going to happen there. The Sucker Punch has been... Oh, that's enough to take out the Garchomp. It's a critical hit. Okay, so the Moonblast has been used. That'll be enough to take out the Kingambit. Snow is now stopped. And now I think these are the last Pokemon that the players have. So you've got a Lycanroc Dusk Form versus... Oh, Light Ruin missed. It missed. That is... Oh... Yikes. And the Rock Slide was enough to take out the Mega Floette. So Puri has won the second game. It's now being brought forward to Game 3. Yeah, the Garchomp had the rough skin damage that it used when there was a contact made. So any sort of physical attack, it didn't really matter. That Garchomp did not last long. And then there was some sort of revenge by his partner through Mega Floette that was able to use the Moonblast. Lycanroc was very lucky. It did miss the Light Ruin, but I'm not sure on the accuracy on that. I don't know whether it's 90% or less. But yeah, it set up for a very exciting Game 3, especially since it's been very close. They were both down to their last Pokemon. There wasn't a standout outright winner. So yeah, that was quite shocking, really. So yeah, they're just determining their teams for round 3. And depending on this, you'll have a winner of some kind. Yep, they seem to be set up for round 3 now. So each of them has 1/1. So Christopher has his Whimsicott and his Floette. So he's got 2 fairy types on the field. And Puri has a Sneasler and a Frostlass. So both have entered with their Mega Evolution Pokemon at the front of their team. And they've got a couple of support Pokemon. Sneasler is more physically based. Whimsicott is more of a support Pokemon, but can be used and beneficial for its special attack. Usually they'll have at least Moonblast on that team setup. The Mega Frostlass has activated its Snow ability. So, and then we've also got the Mega Floette that's just been brought out straight away. Both have just gone into that. No messing around, and then Fairy Aura activates. Whimsicott uses Protect. Good way of keeping the Pokemon on the field. Floette uses Protect, so it's a double Protect for Christopher. Fake Out is used by the Sneasler, but that's a waste. And the Aurora Veil is used by the Frostlass. That'll half the damage taken for your Pokemon while snow is up from both attack and special attack. The only way to get rid of that would have been if Christopher had run a Charizard or another weather condition set Pokemon, or a move that has a weather attached to it. So yeah, this is now going to make it a lot harder for Christopher to actually hit any of the Pokemon of any decency. Whimsicott has used Encore on the Sneasler, so it'll now be forced to use whatever move it is. It's locked into Fake Out. Fake Out only works on the turn that it's brought in. But Blizzard has brought down Whimsicott to its Focus Sash, and Floette has lost a third of its health. The Floette is using the Moonblast, which is enough to just straight up take the Frostlass out. It's a critical hit. It's a one-hit KO. Yikes. That is a lot. Okay, so now they've got the King Gambit that's been brought out in the Frostlass slot, but now he has no more Mega Evolution Pokemon, and the fact that snow is on the field, it isn't going to help him now. Really, I know technically he's still got 3 turns, but if he can pile on the pressure with damage into 1 slot, that might be enough. Even if he wants to stall out for Protect, that would be enough to do something. Okay, so he's brought out the Lycanroc Dust form, and his King Gambit is used Protect. The reason for that is to keep the King Gambit on the field, and so he doubled into the King Gambit, which was a mistake. The Lycanroc's on the field, and it will probably go for Excel Rock next turn to get rid of the Whimsicott. It has only 1 HP, so it's guaranteed. Trainers are choosing their moves now, but yeah, at the moment it's looking like Christopher's going to lose to this effect. Okay, so the Whimsicott is using Tailwind. So that means that it's, okay, so Excel Rock has hit the Floette. Light of Ruin is activated, and that is going to take out the, it does a lot of damage to the King Gambit. It's down to, but the Floette is, from recall damage has been taken out. King Gambit has about 25% of its HP left, but it has now set up for a Swords Dance play. So its attack has been boosted by 2. Vasca Legion is brought out, and we're wondering what. So we've got 1 turn of the Snow and 1 turn of the Aurora Veil. I think if that Aurora Veil hadn't been up, up, then the King Gambit would have gone down to that Light of Ruin attack. But yeah, that's a lot to do in one turn. Just that much damage. And now the Whimsicott is going for Protect. And the Basket Legion is also using Protect. So it's just waiting and seeing what the opponent's doing. The Lycanroc is using a Cell Rock. That was predictable to go into Whimsicott. Keltail Cleaver has been used against the Basket Legion, but both failed. And now both the Snow and the Aurora Veil have worn off. Okay, so in this they're now deciding on things, and we'll have to wait and see what they've got. Whimsicott has been withdrawn and traded out for the Garchomp. King Gambit is using Protect, so it's at least okay. Aqua Jet was used into the King Gambit, but that's been protected. The Rock Slide has been used. That is against both the Basket Legion and the Garchomp. It's done a little bit of chip damage, but not enough for it to be, sufficient for it. Yeah, Basket Legion can't really do anything. Garchomp is using Protect. The Lycanroc is using Protect. The Basket Legion is using Aqua Jet. There's not enough damage. King Gambit was missed with Sucker Punch. And the Tailwind has also stopped. So now the Garchomp and the Basket Legion are quite a threat. Lycanroc's quite strong, but that King Gambit's about to go down. I wonder how they're going to play it, because this looks a bit like the first round. If that Garchomp happens to be using Earthquake, I feel that's pretty much an open and shut case. King Gambit's been traded in for Sneasler. I don't think that is going to make that's not going to make a difference. Sneasler's still going to take a lot of damage to oh, Dragon Claw. I thought it would have gone with Earthquake. But I can see why he wanted to target one of each Pokemon just in case there was any sort of Protect that the opponent was using. Both of the Pokemon are down to about, well, Lycanroc's down to probably about 40% of its HP. Sneasler is down to just over 50%. Yeah, so it is looking like he's going to lose this one. Yeah, it's that close. It is looking like it's an open shut case. Okay, so Garchomp's they chose to go with Protect. Lycanroc's gone with Protect. The Basket Legion has gone with an Aqua Jet into the Lycanroc, which is using Protect. And the Sneasler has used Close Combat into the Garchomp, which is protected. So no one's done anything in that turn. Nothing happened. It was just seeing what they were playing, what moves they were playing. I really was shocked not to see an Earthquake, but I suppose that would also affect the Basket Legion, so that might be why Christopher's kind of scared to be doing anything. He is trading in his Garchomp for the Whimsicott. Okay, so he's using the... well, that was a smart move anyway. Puri was able to use his Lycanroc's Excel Rock ability, but there's mutual disruption there, so one partner loses for another. So Lycanroc's out, and yeah, Whimsicott is out. Close combat doesn't work on Basculegion because that is a ghost type Pokemon, and close combat is a fighting type move. Now Christopher has his Garchomp, and King Gambit's back, but it doesn't have, yeah, it barely has any points left. So it does have a Protect. You have to wonder what his decision is going to be. It's down to about just under 10 minutes of gameplay. Yeah, but I feel almost like, okay, so he's chosen to protect his King Gambit. Makes sense. Aquajet into the King Gambit space is avoided. The Sneasel uses Gunk Shot, but that misses the Basculegion. And Dragon Core is used, and that's enough to take out the Sneasler. Okay, it looks like he's forfeited. He knew, well, his King Gambit only had 6 HP left, so there was no way of him coming back with that. So yeah, they're just having a bit of talk. But yeah, it did look like Puri was going to come back, and then Christopher managed to just swap out his Pokemon. And yeah, that was a lot to do. It was more than enough to beat him. Yeah, so here we've got key gameplay. The Frostlass was taken out immediately by a Moonblast, so that was one hit KO. That was a lot of the problem. The Light of Ruin that was used on the King Gambit, again, it took it down to 25%, but it did sacrifice the Floette. Bear in mind, this was at the point that Aurora Veil was active. Lycanroc was taken out by the Basculegion. Gunk Shot missed, so that was a key point of when the Garchomp was then able to attack into the Sneasler and defeat it. So now they've got the host, so this is Lee Provost and Sierra Dawn.
Yeah, who was one of the players to really keep an eye on this weekend. Also, just an incredible player, you know. And
yeah, so yeah, that was quite shocking that they were able to do that much all in one go.